And welcome back to the Boundary Corner Podcast, a part of the College Huddle Network, along with my partners Brian Siegler, Jonathan Talley, and Shelton Moss. I am Curtis Wilson. This episode, as always, is brought to you by Dr. Jeremy Counts, down at the Counts Family Pharmacy, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, 307 South Main Street in Blacksburg. Also brought to you now by the Moments on the Maury. You're looking for the weekend getaway, but still need to make it to Blacksburg for the game? The Moments of the Maury is exactly what you are looking for. Owned by a proud Hokie and located just outside Lexington, Virginia, a little over an hour drive from Blacksburg. It gives it all to you. Fishing, kayaking, canoeing, or just relaxing by or in the river right out the back door. Check out the link in our comment section and on their Instagram page at Moments on the Maury. Fellas, a tradition unlike any other has graced us once again.
We're back, baby. 2025 Hokies Preview Panel. It's something. This is what, year 4? We're year 4 at this point. I think we started back in 22 was the first one we did.
22. The night that it was 11 people on screen at once.
Yeah. We've got a little better about what we're doing as far as layout is concerned, and also thankfully the software we use to do this thing has gotten better in the process to make what we do look a little bit cleaner. But
you know what?
That first year was kind of crazy.
Yeah, this thing has gotten so much better because I'm pretty sure I wasn't on that first year. I don't know if Shelton was on that first year. So if me and Shelton wasn't on it, it was trash.
Hey,
it's got much better.
Hey.
It's got much better year after year, baby.
Well, trash was improved.
Nah, I'm joking.
Shelton, how you doing, man, tonight?
Dude, I've been good, man. We're getting close to go time here with the season. Obviously, my season too. But I was thinking as I was driving back home. You know, it's like no matter what happens in the football offseason, whether it's positive or negative or neutral, I feel like once August rolls around, you always get that super excited feeling inside of you that football's finally back, and it's really a feeling like no other sport can really provide. And so I'm just glad that all the offseason negativity has sort of faded away, and we're kind of starting to get back into the thick of things here, and we can just watch some ball.
Ain't that the truth? I have to agree with you 100%. Regardless, like right now, you're at that point where if you've been upset with the team, you're getting less upset, right, Tally? Tally's been, Tally was hard on him, but it's getting closer. He's interviewed some players. He talked with some people. He's seen some shit. And now it's, we are, 10 days? 11 days to go time.
11 days to go time, man. Like Sheldon said, though, man, it's all about, like, sports fan, just life. You know what I'm saying? Like, whenever football comes around, you know that the season's changing. Like here in Huntsville, it started like a storm came through today, so it went from like 92 to 80 within like an hour. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe fall's coming around. So, you know what I'm saying? With football brings fall. With fall brings, the leaves changing colors and things like that. Because my wife don't really care about football, but she loves fall time. So, yeah, it's that time, man. It is almost upon us.
Yes, it is. And tonight, as always, with the panel, we have got some of the best in basically the Hokie. You can call it podcast, you can call it writing, you can call it everything. These are some of the best out there.
In the world.
Curtis. The best Hokie guys in the world. We got 2 panels tonight. Let's bring on, and the thing is that what I love about it, and all 6 of them, it's no longer, like we were talking in here before we jumped on, it's like a reunion. It's like a family reunion. We haven't seen everybody in a while, or talked to everybody, but it's like a family reunion. I love it. Let's bring them on and introduce them real quick. Boom, 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 before we get into it. Starting first here, Mike McDaniel of the Hokie Hangover Podcast, the BC Podcast ACC, Sons of Saturday Hoops, still writing for Sports Illustrated, still a father. As Tally said to him, he looked a lot older. Good to see you, Mike.
Still getting carded, though. Still getting carded, though. So
hey, that's
all
good.
Yeah,
that's a good
all
thing.
good.
In the middle there, managing editor of Tech Sideline, D. Cunningham. What is up, my man?
Hey, this is – you guys were talking about a tradition unlike any other. It's an honor to be back. I always enjoy chatting with you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. And
hey,
then
DC got the side kind of hat, the hat kind of sideways today, so I know he's feeling pretty good.
Feeling good. He got a little sun there too. Last but certainly
not from practice though.
Not from practice. Ooh, we're gonna get into that in a second. Last but certainly not least, co-host of the Victory Live podcast. Man, did some play-by-play in spring games. As always, good to have him back. Danny Nokes, what's going on?
Not too much, guys. Like David said, it's an honor and a privilege to be back on one of the best traditions in Hokies football before the season. And it's an honor also to be a part of such an awesome community of creators that love this team and love this program and love their alma mater. So hopefully we could spread a little bit of positivity, but we're also going to be real here over the next several minutes.
You know what's real, Danny?
What's that?
That mic that you got.
Yeah,
you sound like a boss.
Hey, I've done a lot of radio shows in DC from this seat right here with this microphone. I have to at least sound like a professional, right, Tally?
Dulcet tones of Danny Nokes.
Yeah, Danny Nokes.
Well, we are here to talk about Hokies football, so let's get that started, Brian Siegler.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start it like this. I mean, and Danny, you alluded to it a little bit when we talked about this being a tradition and, wanted to bring some positivity, but also wanting to be real about expectations and kind of what we want to see this year. I'm going to start with offensive line. I mean, this is we focus on the trenches here. Unabashedly, we definitely have our hopes of victory and defeat kind of pinned on what's going to happen in the trenches. So we're going to start with offensive line. It seems like it's kind of set with the starters there with, Remock and Garrett at the tackles. You got Altuner there and Lathan and Cunningham holding down the guard positions. I'm going to start this one with Mike, and we'll go kind of around the horn here on what you guys think. But I'll start with Mike here. In your opinion, who is the most important offensive line starter in this unit in terms of what's going to dictate Hokies' success for this year?
I've been beating this drum on a couple different podcasts. It's Montavious Cunningham because this is a guy that we all thought last offseason when he entered the portal and came to Virginia Tech, we all thought that he was going to be a guy who was going to contribute right away. He wasn't that guy, right?
Or was he?
Kind of nowhere to be found, right? On an offensive line that was, I would say, suspect for a lot of last year, right? Now he's being relied upon as one of the guys to come in and contribute and, really be kind of a stalwart on a reworked offensive line with a new coach and all these new phases. Now Virginia Tech's heavily relying on him. So we can look at this one of two ways. One, he's improved a lot. He's healthier. He's in a better place, right? And it's a new coach anyway, so maybe he's just improved and developed. Or we can look at it as Virginia Tech had nobody else to put there. We're going to find that answer out really, really quickly against South Carolina, and I think he's the most important guy all year. Virginia Tech's had trouble. They had trouble towards the end of the Fuente era. They've had trouble now, obviously, throughout the first 3 years of Pry of really having consistency up front on the offensive line, whether it be health or just overall production. And this is kind of a make or break year, right? You bring in Matt Moore to patch things up. You bring in, a host of transfers. 2 of them came over with Matt Moore from West Virginia.
Yep.
It really needs to be good right away, especially with an offense that is going to be breaking in so many new faces, so many new playmakers at the skill positions, at receiver especially. A lot of young guys are going to have to contribute. So you've got to figure out offensive line. And most importantly, got to keep Kyron Drones upright, which was an issue last year, obviously. And the season really started going sideways when he wasn't healthy.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Danny, I'll let you take it second here.
Well, I think it's Remack, and obviously he's probably coming in with the most experience. Started all 13 games at West Virginia last year, and Virginia Tech, despite the struggles over both the last few years of Fuente's time and with Brent Pry's first few years, they have found some gems in the transfer portal, and they're going to need some more outside of Remack this year. We'll get into some of the other positions over the rest of the offense and the defense too, but I just think that he brings in a lot of experience and is a talented player too. So I know our buddy Dwight Vick, a former offensive lineman himself, is always harping on the offensive line needing to be better, needing to be aggressive, needing to have an attitude, and he's absolutely right about that. It's just going to make the offense's job a lot easier. And Mike already talked about how important it's going to be for Kyron Drones to be kept upright this year for Tech to have any decent chance at winning more than 6 games. And not to mention their backfield, who there's a lot of new faces in the backfield this year as well, but there's also a lot of talent and a lot of experience at other programs that's going to get some touches there that Kyron Jones will be handing the ball off to. So it's all going to start up front. I think Remack is a guy that can come in and could sort of establish that mentality that they're going to need to have to win football games this season. I think if they are going to win more than 6 games, it's going to have to look like classic Virginia Tech football. They're going to need to run it down people's throat on offense, and they're going to, with a few big plays on the outside, and then they're going to need to play really stout defense. So I think Remack is my guy.
Yeah, you mentioned Remack, and we obviously knew when he was coming in, he was going to be a pivotal part of what this offensive line was going to be about.
Right.
And we've seen we had a couple depth charts as far as the first unit offensive line throw out there that, for whatever reason, had Remack on the left side next to Lath and not on the right like we had expected next to Cunningham. Speaking of Cunningham, David, tell me what you think about this one, and let me know if there's any truth to these shuffling of the guard, or if you've mostly seen Remack line up at right there.
Yeah, Remack has mostly been on the right. Exactly what you said at the beginning. I'll take a different route than Mike and Danny. I'll go with Kyle Altuner, the center, redshirt freshman. He's going to start at center. And this is a guy who was recruited originally to West Virginia by Matt Moore. He's from Maryland, so he's a DMV guy. Our Lady of Good Counsel. Pretty good high school prospect. Matt Moore, the new offensive line coach, he knows his linemen. And he's a guy who tons of praise for Altuner. Not just him, but Pry as well. When Brent Pry spoke with us at ACC Media Day, he said he and Matt Moore had a conversation about just what the offensive line was going to look like. And Matt Moore said, that's my guy at center, Kyle Altuner. He's like, you're talking about a redshirt freshman, a guy who hasn't played a snap in college? And he goes, that's my guy. And it kind of tells you the confidence that they have in him, that he hasn't touched a college football field yet in a real game. And he's going to be the starter. And there's no competition. It's going to be him. His maturity, the coaches have praised that aspect, just the way he leads. He doesn't play like a redshirt freshman or a freshman. He plays like a guy who's been doing it for a long time. Danny and Mike made really good points about how important this offense is. In terms of the run game and the offensive line and keeping Kyron Drones upright. A redshirt freshman in the middle of that offensive line, that's a little bit scary. But at the same time, it seems like he's going to be a guy that they're going to be able to rely on, not just for this year, but for years to come. And I think that's exciting because if you're a Virginia Tech fan and you're looking for some young guys, like who are young guys that we can watch out for that are going to be in this program for a long time? Remember, this is the transfer portal era. Guys come and go all the time. But with Matt Moore at the helm, I feel pretty confident that Kyle Altuner is going to be here for a while. And Brent Pry said that's a guy who could potentially be a long-time Virginia Tech captain for years to come. So I'm excited. He might not burst out of the gates in week 1 against a really good South Carolina defense, but I think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, and I mean, when we looked to last year, there was like a moment before I think some injury set in for Altuner where he was even at West Virginia potentially pushing for some very early snaps. So to see him come in here and really pick up right where he left off before those injuries last year kind of derail that is pretty big, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to kick it over to Sheldon and let him ride with this next one.
Yeah, we're talking defense now. Obviously, it's been almost about half a year since Sam Keevis got hired as Virginia Tech's new defensive coordinator. Obviously, we see it. He's very analytical and process driven and just super detail oriented. He talks a lot about situational football. So when you guys think about the defense under Sam Keevis, what excites you the most about the potential of this group? Let's start with D-Cunna and then go to Danny.
Yeah, I think his ability to mix things up and something that he's said that stood out to me was, and all coaches can say this, but I think he's actually one that's going to do it because he has done it in the past, is base his defense and his game plan around what other teams are doing. He's not just going to sit down as the previous defensive coordinator did and run the same stuff over and over, regardless of situation. He's a guy who will adapt as he has under his when he was in the NFL under those head coaches, and also in his time at like Wofford, adapting to different styles of offense that he's facing. That excites me the most. And I think he truly understands, from talking with players and talking with him and even Brent Pry. I think my feel is that Cephas has a very good understanding for this group's personnel and how to use them and how to put them in the right situations. And I don't think you would say that about the previous defensive coordinator. And I think that is an immediate uptick, an immediate boost. Virginia Tech might not have as much talent, might not have necessarily an APR last season, or a Dorian Strong or a Mansour Delane, but I think Tech has more safety depth. I think the defensive line, there's a lot of really talented guys and a bit of depth. I think the linebacker coaching is better. And Shelton, to go back to Cephas, I think his ability to really get the most out of this group is what is going to take this defense, I think, to potentially a new level. Like, I don't think Chris Marv was able to kind of squeeze the most juice out of this group, even though he had a lot of talent. I think Cephas will do that.
Danny, what about you? What excites you the most?
Yeah, and to sort of piggyback off of what David was saying, it's just going to be so crucial, especially at the beginning of the season, and particularly in this kickoff game against South Carolina, to adapt to what they're going to do, to game plan for what South Carolina is going to bring out there, because Lenore Sellers is the type of player that would give Virginia Tech fits, even if Bud Foster was still around. I mean, those mobile quarterbacks are for any defensive coordinator. It doesn't matter if you're Bud Foster or Brent Venables back when he was still with Clemson. Those guys are hard to game plan for. So the ability to adapt and not just to game plan, but to also make adjustments within the game. They're going to have to be able to do that on the offensive side of the ball too. And I think that's one of the former coaching staff, because they're starting with a new offensive and defensive coordinator. But one of the things that they were not always good at was making in-game adjustments. And that's something that they're also going to, I think, be better positioned to do with Cephas there at defensive coordinator. It certainly can't get a whole lot worse. But I heard someone say the other day that they think that the linebackers of this group could sort of surprise some people. And I definitely think that that's true. Guys like Jaden Keller could make an impact on that side of the ball from that position, from wherever they decide to put him on the field. But again, it's going to start up front, similar to the offensive line, right? The defensive line, that's where they'll be able to, get some things going for sure.
All right. Now, Mike McDaniel, otherwise known as Mid-Major Mike by some people think that Sam Cephas is also a mid-major defensive coordinator. What would you say to the haters who are skeptical of Cephas' ability, and what excites you about the defense, Mike?
Pry hired Chris Marv as a guy who struggled recruiting at Florida State and was a middle of the road, some would call him mid, linebackers coach, right? And you had him be your defensive coordinator. The way I look at it, right, hiring Sam Cephas from the NFL and the experience, the guys he coached under, what they were saying about him when he was hired, those coaches that worked with him at the professional level, I don't see how this goes worse than it did the first 3 years. I don't see it, right? And if it does go worse, probably only getting 1 year of it, just considering the where we're at in the tenure for Pry anyway, if this defense ends up being really bad. I am really excited, like Danny and David both just said, I'm really excited to see if this defense is able to be flexible, right? Are you able to change personnel? They brought in literally a million safeties. They brought in so many different guys in the secondary. Seifkis is talking about this being multiple. Do they run 4-2-5? Okay, if they do that, maybe that makes a lot of sense, right? Because you bring in all the safeties you brought in, all the cornerback depth. You bring in more depth on the defensive line. Young guys are going to contribute. I'm really excited about Kamari Copeland. He seems like he's finally healthy. Is he going to, finally step up and be the guy that we want him to be? He could be kind of an X factor up front. Obviously, there's Calvin Gilliam. There is some experience on the defensive line still, even though you lose a guy like APR. Can you try to replace him in the aggregate, right? Can you find a way to have some of these young guys step up and contribute in a meaningful way? Danny brought up Jaden Keller. He's one of the important guys on the defense, I think, because of how the highs have been so good with him and the lows have been so low. If we get an improvement at linebacker with Xavier Adibi as the linebackers coach, if we get an improvement there, that's almost a bigger deal to me, right? Is, Seifkis coming in, I'm hoping with Adibi, the linebackers are just coached better, because I think the defense was so up and down. David and I talked about this on my podcast. But the defense was so up and down last year. The one thing that stood out was how poorly the linebackers played at times. And that was obviously a position that Marv coached. I'm really hoping that the linebackers take a huge step forward. I think that would really help this defense, because I think when Tech's been at its best in the first 3 years defensively under Pry, it's been because the linebackers have played well, right? They're filling the right gaps. There's no questions about what they should be doing. When they've been kind of caught flat-footed, that's when everything's kind of gone to hell defensively. I think back to the Syracuse game last year, it was a total disaster with the linebackers. So I'm just hoping the linebacker play is a lot better, and I think with the Seifkis and the Adibi addition, I'm really hoping that things are trending in a better direction there.
Good stuff. Yeah, it should be noted, Mid-Major Mike was a facetious comment. But to the point about Seifkis being at Wofford, I will say there is a very strong legacy of Wofford coaches coming to VT and having success. So I'm hoping we can keep that Spartanburg pipeline going strong here.
This we know.
Yeah, well, Mike kind of, hit on some things that we were looking at talking about anyway. So we talk about linebackers, which is going to be very important, this year. But also, even when Brent Pry was hired, with him being a defensive coach and being in love with Michael Parsons, linebacker and stuff like that, we expect to see certain linebacker play. So I'll ask you guys we know that Woodson is a lot for the most part, from what I think. Who else is going to be kind of a starter that you guys would be looking at on that unit when we're talking about linebackers?
Because Pry said, if you were there, David, because I heard your voice. He said there's still a battle at inside. And everybody on this panel knows Caleb Woodson is starting. The man's captain. And the man was unbelievable last year.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think Caleb Woodson can be one of the best defensive players on this team. I believe they named him a team captain today for a reason, this weekend for a reason. He's the real deal. Jaden Keller, it's really, does the light come on, as Mike McDaniel said. Does the light come on for Jaden Keller? That's the big question. The two guys behind him are competing for those spots. Antoine Santiago, he's the Temple transfer, and Michael Short, the North Carolina transfer. They're two guys who are very solid, who have some experience. Yet to be seen if they're actually going to start. But I think for a while, Tech, at least to start, Tech will feel pretty confident about putting those guys in. But I think it's really Keller's spot to lose. Yeah. He's the incumbent. He's the guy who was here the entire spring. Those two guys didn't come until a little bit more towards the summer. Can he get better with Xavier Adibi as his head coach? I think he can, but I do think you'll see a pretty solid rotation with Short and Santiago in there as well. Also, Caleb Woodenson's going to need breaks eventually. And then the other name in the linebacker room I keep an eye on is Noah Chambers. He's the Maryland kid from DeMatha. I don't know that he'll play this year, but he's a guy who has made some plays in practice. There was a pass rushing drill where he absolutely blew up a running back and knocked him into Elijah Brooks, the running backs coach. Again, I don't know if he'll play this year, but I think I feel better about the linebackers than I have in the last couple of years. And it's funny, somebody just asked about Chambers. I don't know if he's very young. He might need to put on some weight, redshirt, as my colleague Chris Coleman would say. But I think the linebackers are more well-rounded and there's more depth this year.
I think there's also this theme with Tech just all over the field where they've been consistently inconsistent over the first 3 years of Brent Pry's era. And for a guy like Jaden Keller, who we've already talked a good bit about, if you're specifically looking at that linebacker position, him needing to be consistent is going to be tremendously important this season. And David mentioned the position battle he's sort of in right now. I think if he loses that position battle, you're in a little bit of trouble. And hopefully in that scenario, it's more about the guys behind him playing well than it would be about Keller struggling. Because I think in reality, you're going to see all of them on the field, and you're going to need all of them on the field at different points throughout the season. There's going to get guys that are going to get banged up. There's going to be different packages for different guys get on the field at different times during the game, depending on the scenario. So I look at him, and it's already been said, the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. Those high highs, though, sure are sweet. And the guy, he looks like a ball hawk. He can fly all over the field when he's mentally prepared to do so. So it's hard for me to take my eyes off of him and what Keller can do this year.
Well, I agree with what Danny says, but for the most part, but whenever you start looking at stuff, I wasn't saying that to be, crazy, but I'm just saying, like, when you start to look at like players who have been at a school a while, or even captain, or who goes and talks to the media, or who goes to media day, things like that. Sometimes that just doesn't have to do with what's going on the field. So when I look at somebody like Jaden Keller, I hope he takes another step. But, what I say I'm agreeing with Danny on is I hope that there are people behind him that's pushing him, or, that with some of the transfers that's coming in, young guys, because I just want a coaching staff that leaves it all on the field. Like, stop worrying about the next game. Stop worrying about next year. Let's put somebody else in if you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
Monsoor Delane, you can't fucking make a tackle. Come stand over here by me and let's drink some water. I don't care how much you're getting paid in NIL. I don't care if LSU wants you. You can't get Cam Ward on the ground. You can't get Dubnik, whatever his name is, on the ground. Come over here and let's hang out and talk for a little bit. Let's talk about your next school. I just want a coaching staff that will take a chance and be like, who's over here on the sideline? Hey, you've been practicing. Okay, let's try you. Because I watched the offensive line that was horrible. There is no way that there was not somebody on the side of the field that could go in and give you two plays while you bring somebody to the side and say, you ain't fucking blocking. Change your shoes. Your shoes are stuck in the ground. Put some different shoes on.
Hey, there's
you
a
go
reason,
in there and try.
There's a reason why the offensive line coach was fired.
Oh my God. Danny was, spot on with the things he was saying. I just thought about that when he was saying it, and I was like, no disrespect to Keller, but I've seen him, and I hope that he miraculously comes out and like just blows it up this year, right? But at a certain level, it's like, are we really gonna see, like, once you've been seeing a guy for so long, it's like, is that really him? You know what I'm saying? I seen Parker and I knew what they expect of him. And I kept going, man, maybe he took a step backwards on the quarterback's foot. That's what he did. So
there's just to your point, the only thing that I say from a positive standpoint on Keller still being the guy is that it's never been about his physical attributes and his ability. It's
and his highs are really high, like I think
here.
Danny said. Yeah,
it's between the ears. So if he can put the between the ears part together, then you might have something. So yeah, I think that's the one saving grace of Keller still being in this conversation, is that if that mental piece does come into play, you're not worried about him from a physical standpoint.
What I do go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tyler.
I was just going to say what I do like, too, is that we went out and recruited some linebackers. Like, if y'all think a lot of times some of the linebackers that we've had, converted safeties, converted wide receivers. No disrespect to Lawson, but I seen him get turned into a werewolf. He got stiff-armed and started running like a werewolf. I don't want to see that. Brumfield was cool. They said he was really smart. He also looked really small. When he was in there, he couldn't bring no ass to a hole. So pause. Anyway, I need some people that can hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need some people that look like Caleb Woodson that can go downhill and hit. I seen Q Reddish come up against, I think it was Stanford, who, like, he was a true freshman last year, and I was like, that's probably the best tackle I've seen out of this team all year. So just things like that, man, that, like, when you really get back into it, like, now it's about to be football season. This is stuff that's just been in the back of my mind that I haven't thought about. And now that I'm going down and be like, oh, they brought this guy in. Oh, they brought this guy in. Stop bringing people in and not playing them. I'm just hoping give him a chance. Cunningham should have had a chance. He may be garbage. I don't think he is, but I'm just saying he may be, but he couldn't have been no worse than what we seen last year. So if you're coaching on the sidelines, like, give somebody else a chance if it ain't getting it done. But who's Mike on, man? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hide.
That's all right. Mike got us into this, so I'm gonna let Mike finish this out. Mike, Tally asked, who's gonna be there inside linebacker? You brought up, I think you bringing up Keller set him off. Danny got it worse, so you got to cool it down so we can move on.
I think I brought him up first, didn't I?
Kind of. It was Danny's fault.
It was the build.
It was build.
Slow build.
You did. It was a slow build. I'm really hoping that Keller has not hit his ceiling. I'm where everybody else is at. I hope Keller's the guy because I hope he's put it all together between the ears, like Brian just said. Like, that's my thing. He's been really good. He's been really bad, but it's like Brian also mentioned, it's never been a physical thing, right? So we'll see. I would prefer to have a guy with experience in the middle of the defense. I would prefer not to be relying on freshmen and sophomores in the middle of the defense if we can avoid it. So
understood on that. And, I think bringing in the two transfers was the big piece there because they have significant snaps. They played at collegiate speed on both sides. So we'll see what happens there. All right, I'm going to put you on the way back machine because this is going to scare y'all three. Well, Danny, probably more so you because it's going to make you realize something. A deep breath.
You're really this up.
The Hokies have not had a 1,000-yard receiver since 2016. First of all, go ahead, cry. Isaiah Ford was. Right. We have not even been close since 2018. Can anybody name who that was? 2018.
Was it Damon Hazelton?
Damon Hazelton.
Hazelton was like 890 something. So, with that being said, and y'all been paying attention, which I know y'all do, and I did the research last week. Montgomery, a shit ton of 1,000-yard wide receivers. He's had a bunch who exceptionally close to 1,000 yards. So I'll pitch it to you, Danny Nokes. If this were to happen this year, pull up your roster list. Who do you think could get 1,000 yards in this offense this year?
I think Donovan Green is probably where that conversation starts, just as a guy that comes over from Wake Forest and was a starter for them. But I believe he was the top ranked Wake Forest recruit in their program's history when he became a Demon Deacon. So Donovan Green is someone that comes over highly touted and with experience. And now he's a grad student here in Blacksburg. And I feel like it's an opportunity for him to really cut it loose. He's going to get to play with Kyron Drones, who we all know. Talk about a guy with a really high ceiling. Drones, when he's on, it sure is a lot of fun to watch. And Green just seems like a guy, solid. He's built well. He's had some injury problems, though, right? He's had some injury issues throughout his career. So, can he stay healthy? But that's a guy that if he doesn't come through or he gets hurt, I don't think that there's any shot that anybody else is hitting 1,000 yards on that in that wide receiver room.
David?
I mean, I think Danny hit the nail on the head. Donovan Green is definitely, I think, the most explosive guy in that room. And right now in preseason camp, we've seen Chance Wiggins is banged up. Brent Pry said earlier today that it doesn't look like he's going to be available for the opener against South Carolina. Keelan Adams has been banged up. Takai Heath has been banged up. I think a lot of that stuff is very minor, not to worry anybody. I think a lot of that stuff is very minor, but those guys have to stay healthy. And the guy Danny just mentioned, he's been great when he's healthy. If he's not, that's a problem. One of the guys that I think Tech is going to rely heavily on this year is Isaiah Spencer. Transfers in from Jackson State, I believe. He was a terrific receiver at the FCS level. He's got a little bit of versatility, can play inside, can play out. And I think, maybe he doesn't necessarily have the rapport with Kyron Drones that he does right now because he came in so late over the summer. He wasn't here for the spring. And also Kyron, didn't practice a ton in the spring. But I think Isaiah Spencer is a guy who nobody's really talking about because he's a FCS transfer, but I think he's a guy that he could have a really big breakout year. I'm not sure he can hit 1,000, and I don't know that there are many guys that can. I think it will be a group effort. But I think Isaiah Spencer is a guy who could potentially have a big breakout year. And, you've seen the way that I think back to last year, the way the Hokies used a guy like Jalen Lane, should have used him more, as we talked about earlier. Yeah. I think Isaiah Spencer can be a guy like that you just get the ball in his hands. He's very shifty. He's very, very quick. And there's another obvious answer in the room, which is maybe where Mike might go. But I think Isaiah Spencer can be a breakout guy.
Yeah, my answer was going to be Donovan Green too, but in the essence of just kind of being different, I am just really intrigued by Cam Seldon. Like, I'm really hoping he steps up and he can be a guy who can contribute. I don't know if he'll be 1,000-yard receiver, but we've heard too many good things about him, right? Like, coaches are raving about him. I hope he can step in and be the guy that everybody is talking about, right? He can put it together on the field. For purposes of the 1,000-yard receiver conversation, my answer was Green just because of the experience, the fact that he's got, like over 100 career receptions. He's got like 1,800 yards receiving. So when he's healthy, he's proven that he can be a really steady presence on the offense. And I think Virginia Tech's going to need somebody to be really steady in that receiving room. It's a lot of like 6'1", 6'2", 180-pound guys. It's not surprising me that there's a bunch of injury issues already. That is something I'm really concerned about. Cam Seldon kind of bucks that trend a little bit. So, I mean, that's something to be a little bit encouraged about. He's stockier receiver that I think can go over the middle, catch a pass. You're not worried about him not getting up. I'm really concerned about that with several of the receivers I think are going to play significant snaps this year. So are these guys ready in this offense? We'll see kind of what it looks like. The Philip Montgomery offense of the past, it's been a lot of crossing routes, a lot of shifty receivers, kind of in the mold of what Virginia Tech's got in their receiving room, running routes over the middle of the field. And Kyron Drones, I love him. He's thrown a hospital ball or two. I'm a little concerned about this receiving group, man. I'm really concerned about them all staying healthy. And then out of the guys that are healthy, who's going to be able to contribute and be the most consistent. So I'm hoping for a big year for Donovan Green, because if it's not going to be him, who is it going to be? I know everybody's looking at Aiden Green as like wide receiver 1. If it's not going to be Donovan Green, the thing about Aiden Green is like, is he wide receiver 1 just because we kind of need him to be? Like, is this kind of like how Caleb Smith was in year 1 at Pry, where it's like, are we really sure he's ready to take that next step? Obviously, I think Aiden Green is a better player than Caleb Smith, and I don't want to sit here and slander Caleb Smith on this podcast, but that's just kind of like the receiving group. That's kind of, those are the types of concerns I have. It's like, is this guy the wide receiver 1 by default? Like, we'll see. So big questions with the pass catchers in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Aiden Green there, and I think the weird thing that we're looking at is, I think someone said on Twitter the other day, it was like, well, we're talking about the youth in the wide receiver room, and it's not really youth. Like, most of these guys are at least redshirt sophomores or older, but not very many of them have played significant snaps, especially for the Hokies.
Yeah.
So it's more of that experience and that experience with this unit than necessarily it is an age thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. Sheldon, I'll let you kick the next one out to these gentlemen.
Yeah, we're talking Philip Montgomery. Now, gents, you guys know offensive coordinators get all sorts of criticism, rightly or wrongly, and obviously we don't need to relitigate all of the discourse around Tyler Bowen, who's now moved on to Ohio State. But, between play selection, personnel usage, the passing game, quarterback play, what element of the offense do you feel like Montgomery can really come in and kind of clean up in comparison to last year? Let's start with Mike and then work our way left to right.
I'm hoping it's not the same game plan every single game. I feel like we've seen that a lot with the recent offensive coordinators, not just Bowen. So I'm hoping that there's at least something different we can show the opposing team every week. I think there are enough playmakers and there are enough. I mean, I just talked about the questions with receiver. There's all different types of running backs that Virginia Tech can run out there too, right? In terms of what they're able to do and their skill sets. I'm hoping that the running game looks a little bit different because I think it's going to have to be without Tootin in the backfield. Obviously, losing a bell cow back like that, I think you're going to have to get a little bit more creative. I really like the guys they've brought in at running back, but it is going to look different this year, right? I would prefer, and I know that the running element of Drones' game is so crucially important to what he's able to do, and without his legs, right, if he's confined to the pocket, that's not really who he is, even though I do think when healthy, he's really developed into a fine pocket passer when he's needed to be. So I would prefer if they don't run Drones into the ground, and I think they have so many running backs that they can kind of take the onus off of him. But the biggest thing I'm looking for, it was a lot like we just talked about with Seifkis on the defensive side, flexibility in the game plan. So many new faces, a lot of guys that I think the Tech coaching staff feels good about in the receiving core, even if I don't particularly feel good about things there, they seem to. At least that's what they're saying. And I do feel good about the running back room, though. And I think if you get anything out of the offensive line this year, any sort of steps forward and improvement, and you can be a bit more flexible in the game plan, I think that's really what I'm looking for in terms of what Montgomery can bring to the table.
It's a very broad answer, but I think he's going to bring more consistency. And by that, I mean, kind of going off what Mike said, Tyler Bowen, it felt like early in the year, he did not get the game plan right. It took him a couple weeks to get the game plan right. And then he was hit or miss. I mean, you talk about a game plan he got right. You look back at that Syracuse game last year where Virginia Tech was starting Colin Schlee and two backup running backs in Malachi Thomas and Jeremiah Coney, and had a sizable lead and put up terrific numbers before things went downhill in the second half. It was the opposite the next week, where Kyron Drones and Bashal Tootin should not have played hurt against Clemson. They didn't give a running back outside of Tootin a touch. And it's like, what? So, and that was Clemson's worst rushing defense in like 30 years. Yeah. So it was like sometimes Tyler Bowen was on and sometimes he was off. And I think Philip Montgomery, he's so experienced. You look at his last stop was at Auburn. And it's so funny because if anybody reads anything about Hugh Freeze and the way he kind of runs his program, he's very hands-on and wants to do everything himself and doesn't – like he hires an offensive coordinator and doesn't let the guy coordinate. Right. I think Philip Montgomery has the keys to kind of do whatever he wants. And my thought is that unlike Tyler Bowen, to what Shelton asked, I think Philip Montgomery knows exactly what he wants to do from week one. Like he comes out there with a game plan and goes, this is how we're going to play. It's not, hey, we're going to try to figure it out. It's, hey, we've got a concept. We've got a game plan. I think he's got the opportunity to really put Tech's best foot forward from the beginning and kind of like Seifkis, use the guys to the best of their ability. We were talking earlier about getting Jalen Lane touches. There were so many weapons on last year's team that probably should have gotten the ball more. You got to figure out who those guys are this year and get them the ball. Yep. Like that's college football nowadays. That's football, period. Get the ball in your best player's hands. And if it happens to be a Cam Seldon, if it happens to be a Tucker Holloway on a reverse, right? If it happens to be a Marcellus Hawkins or a Braden Bennett, you've got to get them the ball. That's the bottom line.
I think that you will see an immediate improvement in exactly what David is talking about, in the ability to recognize who needs to get the ball, because it might change from game to game, right? We talk about having a different game plan going depending on who the opponent is. I think Montgomery, with his experience, will be able to much more easily recognize who needs the touches in that game to effectively attack a defense. Talked about consistency, talked about in-game adjustments. I similar to what we were talking about on the defensive side of the ball, I don't see how it can get much worse from that standpoint. And on the offensive side of the ball, there was no consistency, and there were oftentimes not great in-game adjustments, right? Two more things that I would say about Montgomery coming in is I would hope that with that experience in the passing game, you can find a way to scheme Donovan Green or Aiden Green open, hit on some of those big plays. They don't have to be touchdowns, but open the defense up a little bit, because then that gives your running backs a chance to get it going. It's usually establish the run, then go over the top. It's going to depend on who the opponent is. It's going to depend on where you can attack a defense. And I have heard it sounds like Brent Pry and this staff is high on Marcellus Hawkins in the backfield. It really sounds like they really like him. He's going to get a lot of touches, whether it's him or Braden Bennett, who comes over from Coastal Carolina, who's really exciting. And the bowling ball, Terrion Stewart, who has been missing some time, as we understand it recently, didn't practice today. All three of those guys can contribute on the offense. So when you factor in a dual threat like Kyron, there are some tools there for them to make some explosive plays this year, more than we saw last year, which when you had Drones, Tootin, and Lane not being able to take advantage of those guys as often as they should have was really disappointing. I think that'll change this year.
Yeah, and you talk about like getting guys the football and riding the hot hand. Let's think back a little bit. Let's think to, I'll go even back further. Let's go Pitt in 2016 when we just kept throwing those fades to Isaiah Ford, like riding the hot hand when something's working. Just go back to the well, having the feel of that. We want to see that a little bit more, not being so rigid to what the game plan is, and being able to adapt on the fly and be able to ride that hot hand. I mean, I played offensive line at Hampton-Sydney. My head coach was also our offensive coordinator, and he did not play collegiate football. He was a basketball guy, but he understood playmakers and how to get playmakers the ball. And that's what it's all about.
Just don't do dumb shit. That's all I ask for. I mean, it's not that hard.
Pretty simple.
Hold it down.
Just don't do dumb shit. Just don't do dumb shit is what we was doing. We was wasting plays. We was putting Colin Schlee in to like run motion.
Listen.
So you take somebody off of the field.
11 months.
You never
pissed off about this.
you never build off of that. You know what I'm saying? It's just wasted plays. Like you got to do something in the year. You got to throw like a double reverse pass or something off of that play if you're going to continue doing it at the beginning of the game or the beginning of the year. Because when you think back to last year, like even when we talk about Clemson, and I don't want to go all into that, but when you talk about like a game like Clemson, like I watched it again for some reason, and we lost it 24-14.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were like 23rd in the nation or something. And we ran the ball like one time or two times that game. Running backs hurt, quarterbacks hurt. I get it, injuries happen, but when I don't know, man. I think that you can't do any for as close as we were to winning. I really don't think you can do worse as a collective coaching staff as we did last year. That's just how I feel. We did a lot of dumb shit. Like we didn't use people that we should have used. We didn't run plays. What did he say?
As I made you feel.
Yeah. Oh, we need to limit it. So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox and go to the next thing. Because somebody was bringing up a couple of playmakers, and we think about Kyron being a playmaker, but also the offensive line. Who else do you guys think that we need to have a big year that will fuel the Hokies' success besides Kyron or the offensive line?
Who wants to start?
I just put it out there because I know this was going to be hard. So I was hoping somebody would be brave.
I'll go. You go ahead, Mike. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the three running backs you mentioned, Danny, I think collectively we need them to be like at least a full Tootin.
Exactly.
Right? Or a little bit more than that, considering there's 3 guys there, right? Obviously not the best news that Terrion Stewart hasn't been practicing. Hopefully that's temporary and we can see him back on the field soon. He'll be ready for the opener. But we need those 3 guys you mentioned, Danny, Bennett, Hawkins, and Stewart. We need them to be able to replace the production of Bashal Tootin. That's what Virginia Tech needs in the running game, 1,000%. And that's why you brought these guys in. And that's why you brought in so many of them. And that's why you kept Jeremiah Coney around. Like, you have depth at running back. We need to use it. We have to find the right combination. That's just extraordinarily crucial, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to something I said earlier in the broadcast, gentlemen, which is that for Tech to be as successful as they can be this year with this roster, I think on offense, it is going to start with the running game and to really play good defense, obviously, but control the clock and find a way to get one of these guys in the rhythm. If it's Hawkins, feed him, right? They've been talking a lot about Hawkins in the offseason. Well, if he's the guy, then feed him. If it's Bennett, who's got a lot of experience coming over from Coastal Carolina, give him the ball. If it's a cold day in November in Blacksburg against Louisville, November 1st, and you got to ride Terrion Stewart to the promised land, then do it. You know, and the offensive line obviously is going to have a major role to play in that success as well, as will Kyron Drones, because Kyron Drones is a very capable runner. But as Mike said, you got to be careful not to overwork him and get him into a situation where he's getting dinged up, because when he gets dinged up, he's just not the same guy. We saw that last year. So I really have been harping on the running game. It would be nice to see someone like Donovan Green. I saw one of our listeners also threw Benji Gosnell in there, which I love as a pick as well, because, you know, I think he's gonna have to come up with some really big catches, maybe on 3rd down in the red zone, wherever it is. They're going to rely on him too. He's got some experience, but I think it all starts with the running game for the offense.
This is what I'm gonna throw in. This is what I'm gonna throw in as well, guys, because everything y'all are saying is really good, and I think Curtis may have said it earlier when you just talked about going back into a Virginia Tech style football team. I don't remember if it was Curtis or Mike, but whatever. Sometimes you just are who you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that we're going to have this high-powered passing offense that's going to be, rival Oregon or somebody like that. I'm not saying that. But what I do know is that we are not a strong enough team to just run the ball down people's throats. I just don't think that we will ever be that. So we have to be capable enough to get some motherfuckers off the line. Yeah. We have to be able to push the ball down the field, whether that's using 10 wide receivers to catch, a pass each, just to do something different to get people off of the line so we can run the ball. They have those receivers. I challenge everybody who watches this show, if you're a Virginia Tech fan, pick one game a season and waste your money. Just go watch that game. Go sit in the stands and just look at stuff that the camera doesn't show. Because I'm big on getting on coaches and stuff like that. But sometimes plays are called right. Sometimes wide receivers are running open and we can't get them the ball, or the quarterback doesn't throw the ball. So there's some things that are going right that you don't see on TV. But some of these players just don't get the chance again. I seen Takai Heath in the first game last year when we went to Nashville, and I was like, he looks faster than all the other wide receivers. And then I never got to see him do anything. So things like that, I'm just like, stop wasting it. Let's find a way to put the ball in this person's hands, because we kept running him on these fake jet sweeps and things like that, but we just, again, never went back to him. So I hate to keep harping on things like that, but whenever I think about who will be important to this team to have success, I think it's going to be, on offense, I think it's going to be somebody that nobody's called out. Like, and I'm not saying they're going to just, blow us away. Somebody like somebody in the chat said Benji. I'm thinking, maybe a third wide receiver or something like that, because if you look last year, our top wide receiver had like 500 yards. Yep. And then right after him, you had maybe like 400. Then after that, it was like 350 or something, right? Yeah. So if you can bump all of those up just a little bit, the top guy, if he has 600, the guy behind him has 500, the guy behind him has 400, we're making up those yards that Tootin had, that he was fighting people off in the backfield to get, or you're making up those yards that Kyron's trying to run and get them. We need to find a way to do that, and I think it's going to be somebody who steps up that we don't know who that is yet. So it's just my 2 cents.
I just don't want Kyron Drones to be like 60 to 65% of the rushing attack now that Tootin's not on the roster anymore. That's just my concern, right? We're gonna fall into that because and I would be more worried about that, I guess, if Bowen was still calling plays, because he's had the familiarity and he's like, all right, look, we know what Kyron is like, let's just run him. It's like, no, there's a reason why you brought all these guys in. So I'm not as concerned about that with Montgomery calling plays, but that's just a general thought that I have, is I just don't want Kyron to take over the running game because we don't have Tootin in the backfield anymore. That's why you went out and paid all these guys the money to bring him in out of the portal. Let's use them. Let's try to replace Tootin's production some way, somehow, and not have it so be heavily dependent on what Kyron's able to do, with his legs. So,
D, kind of close us out, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna before somebody even commented, I was gonna say Benji Gosnell. I think the tight ends, him and Harrison St. Germain, and those are two guys who've played some snaps. You got a new position coach there in Brent Davis. He slid over from the offensive line. He's a triple option background guy. I think that this group's blocking, both run blocking, particularly run blocking, because they won't pass block as much, obviously. But I think that group's blocking is going to be much improved, considering Brent Davis is the position coach. That was my feel from talking with him at the program's media day a couple weeks ago, that they've really, really harped on that. But Benji Gosnell, how many times last year did Tech do a good job of scheming him open? He was a guy, I thought, that Tech actually did a pretty good job of getting him the ball. Maybe you could have done it more, but there were one or two big plays where it was like an unbalanced formation, and all of a sudden Benji Gosnell's wide open down the middle of the field. He's a guy that, he was a highly touted 4-star recruit for a reason, that was originally committed to Ohio State. Yep. Like, get him the ball, right? That goes back to that conversation, kind of what Brian was talking about. Like, he's talented. Get him the ball. And I think in Harrison St. Germain, if you want somebody outside of your really talented running backs and your wide receivers who are kind of still improving a little bit to get some touches, you got two tight ends that have been doing it for a while. Get them the ball. And I think they're both pretty versatile. They both got pretty good hands. You think back to that Military Bowl at the end of 2023, each of them had a touchdown catch in that game. It's not like these guys can't catch the ball. So I think they can add a different wrinkle to this offense if used properly.
100%. I'm gonna throw this out there before I pitch over to Brian. Somebody mentioned his name earlier. You asked me what fuels a success on the offensive side of the ball. It's going to be, I think, Cam Seldon. It's the versatility. And we know some of the stuff that Monty does with the veers and stuff, that's made for a Cam Seldon type player. Like some of those veers and stuff, you want a player like him. And he's coming in. I think there's a chip there. He went to Tennessee because they all leave Virginia and go somewhere, get shat on, and then they come back home. APR went to Florida. They shat on him and basically said, you can't play. What'd that son of a bitch do last year? I think he's the key, because if you tell me you're talking like 500 yards, he gets to 1,000 all-purpose running and receiving, like 600, 400. You want to talk about game planning? You couldn't game plan for that. Even going in week, like, what are they going to do with him? Are they going to run an inside veer? Are they going to sneak him in the backfield and maybe run a dive off of like a motion? Think about that. Put him in a slot motion into the backfield and then just run it down the gut as big as he is at 6'2", 216.
He's a great athlete.
He is a great athlete.
He's a great athlete. He comes over a former running back, right, and now is going to contribute as a wide receiver. He is the type of guy that if they can get him going early, he is going to be tough to game plan for. And we've talked a lot about game planning and making sure that coaching staff is mixing it up. He does seem like the type of guy that was written off by an SEC school and can come in and make an impact, but we just have to see, that Kyron Jones is going to have to take a step forward, both as a passer, and hopefully they scheme a little bit better for him in the run game so that they're not just completely reliant on him to pick up what they're going to miss without Tuden.
Right.
I agree.
All right, Brian, ready?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've held it back long enough. Let's go ahead and pull this one out there. Whit Babcock went to the Board of Visitors with a presentation effectively saying, football is behind, and not just behind, pretty far behind. Kind of about somewhere around 9 or 10 in the ACC overall. Looking for basically within the next year or two, needing to get to 200 million when you're looking at probably 144 million operating as of this upcoming year. What's going to come out of this? Because I feel like when I looked at it, it was kind of twofold. It was like, this is absolutely needed. Why are we just having this conversation?
Hopefully the Board of Visitors takes their head out of your what.
So I can take the lead on this if you guys want. I was in the room on Monday at the Board of Visitors meeting, and I thought Whit Babcock's presentation was very good. I thought it resonated very well with the BOV. People on Twitter I've seen ask, why is this just now happening? Why is this just now happening? Well, a good chunk of the presentation was about the House settlement, which just got passed this year, and about the ACC settlement with Florida State and Clemson, which just got passed this year, and what that means money-wise. There are things in there that Tech could have been doing a long time ago. That's a conversation for later. But the bottom line is, yes, Virginia Tech needs to win football games, and yes, Virginia Tech needs to be better in men's basketball, which is going to happen, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to fund the athletic program correctly, whether it's direct or indirect support from university, even to match UVA. You have to come up with different ways to fund athletics and to give athletics more resources if you want to be competitive. Yeah. There were a lot of really good quotes in there. If you're interested, we covered it a lot this week, a podcast and 2 stories over on Tech Sideline. A lot of quotes from Whit about these resources do not meet the expectations. Tech ranked the lowest out of all the public schools in the ACC, 14th overall in budget. Right? That's going to go up, as Brian said, to 144 million in fiscal year 26. But at the same time, everybody else is going up too. And Whit's point, which again I thought resonated very well, is you can either step up or get left behind. And it's not that athletics has not been a priority, but it's that this is an inflection point because of the House settlement, because of the ACC settlement, that this is a huge moment. Because if you do not take advantage of this, if you're not prepared going into this, you're going to get left behind. And the Board of Visitors today earlier came out with a couple of big statements that you probably saw on Twitter, talking about how, we basically saying we understand, we are going to find a way to come up with money. Now, Whit Babcock had a list of $52 million in investments. Don't know that all of them will happen, but of course, you don't if you shoot for the moon and you take what you can get, right? Whit's not going to ask for 30 million if he wants 30 million. He's going to ask for 50 million, right? But there are ways Virginia Tech has to figure out how exactly it can boost the revenue. It's not like you just snap your fingers, flip a switch, and it's there. It's going to take some time. But I came out of that Board of Visitors meeting on Monday and also after this stuff today thinking, this board is on board with what Whit wants to do. They are on board. It's just going to be a matter of how the Hokies come up with the money. So I think Virginia Tech fans should feel pretty good about just the message got through.
Yeah.
I think I was sorry, Brian. I think they are going to get some of that money that they're asking for right now. I think that the board seems to be receptive to it. It seems like everyone realizes the urgency of the moment. I think that they are going to rise to that moment. They're going to do it. But there's two problems, right? Because there's the financial side of this, and then there's just the on-field product. And I think it was either Mike or David this week. I saw one of y'all say there is plenty of room to win 8 or 9 games in the ACC right now with where Virginia Tech is at right now, and they're not doing it. And it's because of bad decision-making, right? Brent Pry, a first-year head coach, hired a first-year offensive coordinator and a first-year defensive coordinator when he had never run a program before. That's just a lack of common sense. That was stupid. So there's just bad decisions being made all over the place. And we don't have to get into some of the decisions that have been made by the higher-ups in the athletic department, like Whit Babcock, but it's twofold, because you have to obviously have the resources nowadays, but you have to have the results on the field too, which they're not doing right now. So once they start to figure that out, and there's a couple more wins on the board every single year, you're just going to have some more money trickling in naturally too.
Yeah, Mike, before I kick it to you, I want to say one thing real quick. And this kind of stood out to me and was, I think, one of the better points that Whit made in the process was that this is going to cost you either now to get better or later if you don't. So either way, this is gonna be money that is gonna cost you. So, Mike, I'm gonna let you jump in. I know you guys had a pretty big conversation about this recently as well.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what Whit meant, right? Everybody took it on Twitter and ran with it. And it was like, well, I'm either going to be here or I'm not going to be here. I think his whole point was we can deal with this now or we can deal with this later, but we're going to have to have a come to Jesus moment at some point about the money, right? Because for every Texas and Texas A&M and Georgia and Alabama, Notre Dame, you name the blue blood, right, that has more money than God and has a bunch of donors that are contributing in a meaningful way, a bunch of very, very wealthy donors. There are schools like Virginia Tech. There's 6 or 7 or 10 or 20 other schools that are dealing with the exact same thing, with an athletic director that's going to the university and saying, we need help from the university. This is not all going to come from our donors. We have to find another way to get the money right for football if we want to be competitive moving forward. It's not just football, of course, it's men's basketball, trickles on down, but football is the cash cow at all of these FBS schools. It just is. There are 2 points, like Danny just mentioned, took the words right out of my mouth. It's the money. It's also the right leadership in place, right? And there's enough money for Virginia Tech to be competitive in the ACC right now. Yep. There is not enough money or coaching, for that matter, for Virginia Tech to compete at the national level the way a lot of fans want them to compete, right? And it's one thing to be a top 10 or 15 program going on 2 decades ago now, right? A consistent 10-win program that some years, like 99, can be more than that. And it's another thing to do that now in this environment. And the ACC is different now. The landscape of college football is a lot different now. You need to have the money, and with the revenue sharing and NIL and everything else that these coaches and these athletic departments are dealing with, it's a lot different landscape than it was. And for Virginia Tech to be competitive on the national scale the way that a lot of the fans expect and want it to be from the old days, there needs to be a financial commitment from the university, because this is not going to be coming from the donors. If you want to elevate this thing, not just to 8 or 9 wins in the ACC, because I think the money's there now to do that, not just to be a 10-win program again, but if you want this program to be playing at an elite level, which is, I think, what Whit Babcock was trying to get across to the Board of Visitors. We don't just want this thing to be 9 or 10 wins and kind of be what we were before, where we were just happy to be competing in the ACC. Guys, we don't know what the ACC is going to look like in 5 years. It's going to be a lot different. Is it even going to be a conference anymore? That's up for debate. We don't know, right? So Virginia Tech's got to be ready for whatever the next stage of realignment and TV deals that are coming in the next 5 years, all the expansion to the college football playoff and what that's going to look like. Virginia Tech's funding right now for the football program is not in a place where this program is ready to compete at a national level, at a consistent top 20 to 25 level. Money is a big part of that. The leadership with the coaching staff, which it'll be either these guys that are currently there or it won't be. Tech's going to have to figure that answer out too. But I think a lot of what Whit Babcock said, and I was really just reading David's Twitter like on Monday. I was just kind of scrolling through. That's
You did a hell of a job, David. You did a hell of a job.
You guys did fantastic. You and Andy and David Teal, everybody.
Yeah.
I was really just scrolling through all the tweets. Whit was right about a lot of stuff. Everybody's mad at Whit for a lot of reasons, and a lot of them are justified. But guys, he's right. Like, he's right about this. Like, everything he said in the presentation was spot on. Like, he's right. Like, Tech's got to figure this out. So I'm encouraged by the Board of Visitors listening. It scared me that some of them were like, "Oh, we had no idea." It's like, okay, well, we got to figure it out then.
Maybe they need to get off the Board of Visitors then if they don't.
It scared me.
Get that?
It was interesting to me that, like, I get maybe, holding back some of this information while you're waiting to see how the House settlement is shaking out, and you're waiting to see how some of these other things with the ACC and Clemson and Florida State play out. But we had a funding problem relative to the heavy hitters in the ACC for over a decade at this point. It's just very interesting that they weren't privy to a lot of how that has evolved and how that has eroded over the last decade and a half.
But for 1 second, Brian, but that's on Whit. Whit should have been presenting that shit to them all the time. Listen,
that's my point. Like, I'm
it's on him. It's on them.
I get that there is a lot of moving targets there, and that you may want you're trying to hold back maybe what you want to say until you actually have a full picture. But at some point, you can't continue to fall behind when you at least know the parts that aren't going to change, right? Like, there needed to be some conversations in the interim.
Too much complacency.
Pressure.
Too much complacency, man. Just too much
pressure will bust pipes or make a diamond.
There you go.
Whit is getting that pressure put on his ass right now.
Bingo.
I ain't saying he listening to Joe Rogers, but I'm just saying he hears the noise and he knows what's coming. And he was trying to do all of this. Well, let's talk about wrestling. Let's talk about baseball. Let's talk about grab ass. And I don't know what he's talking about. But then he realized
that's a great sport talent.
Then he realized, like, if this is the cash cow, we probably need to do this. I think Sean just put up a post or a comment that said, you got to be able to sell the vision. Listen to me. And then I know we got to go to something different. I seen a man in Blacksburg. Excuse me. I don't know what you call him, a man. Don't cancel me. I seen a person in Blacksburg that was born a male sucking dinglings in the dark and get unalived. And then the person who unalived him never went to jail. Anything is possible if you got a plan and you got a vision. Go hire that dude who was the lawyer. Go hire him to sell the vision. We probably get all the money. I'm just saying.
I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, that was Callie for the right. Callie for the right. That was one.
That was a left turn, but you know what? He made it.
The reason
hey, in certain towns across this wonderful country of ours, if you play for the football team, you don't go to jail for shit. That's what he's saying,
man. I've seen some crazy stuff.
They know that down in Athens, that's for sure.
No, you kill people in Athens real quick.
They have it. They getting DUIs, running into people, running over curbs, jumping on the sidewalk. Nobody ain't going to jail.
Ain't nobody.
So,
all right,
sell it.
All right, real quick. This is kind of the last one. Not a big question, and don't go in depth because I know y'all got all your media pieces. And David, Deacon, I don't know if you can even release it here yet. Just give me a record. I'm gonna start with Danny Nokes because I know he probably of the three of y'all can. What's the record? Don't go deep.
Right. Yeah.
High level.
Yeah. Very simple. And I'm going 6-6, and for me, that's the optimistic route. I look at this schedule and I see 5, but like there's so many what ifs, right? Which I think a lot of it'll come with injuries. but this coaching, Brent Pry has shown me 6-6 is just about the ceiling. And with a lot of roster turnover, despite Jones coming back, I just don't think I can go higher than that.
Is Mike?
I'm gonna give it to you, Mike, because kind of I don't know if you might be bound by legal obligation.
No, Curtis, I'm good.
All right, David, Mike, and we'll wrap up with D. Mike,
6-6. 6-6.
Hey, he's saying we're making a bowl this year. Remember a couple years ago we got on his ass when he said we won't make it a bowl.
We did make a bowl that year.
We got lucky.
Yep.
Yeah, 6-6. We'll make a bowl game. Back to Military Bowl. Play Tulane probably. That'll be good. Yeah, 6-6. 6-6. Opening 2 games really tough. Brutal November. Worried about Drones, his health. Questions at receiver. Offensive line. It's gotta be better, or else this is not going to be good. So, yeah, 6-6. Too many questions.
All right, D-Connor, last man standing here. What you
7-5.
Ah, he's on one up.
Oh,
7-5.
I think now. I think the most pivotal game on the schedule is Vanderbilt.
Yep.
And that kind of changes everything.
Yep.
But I think Tech gets that game at home under the lights. I think, this schedule is much more difficult, but I think the coaching staff is better, and I think that's the ultimate difference. I think having coaches that know how to adjust in game, it's like, what a concept, right? I mean, like having coaches that can coach, it's amazing what that will do for the program. And I genuinely think this schedule is much more difficult, but I think the coaching makes that much of a difference, and I think they can win 7 games. And I genuinely think that this, depending on, again, it's really tough to say all this because we haven't seen a ton of it yet. But I think if the staff can put the guys in the right positions, like this group, not as much talent as last year, but they can do some stuff.
Yeah.
Especially in some of those ACC games. November, it gets a little scary. Louisville, Florida State, Miami, back to back to back. But I'm going 7 wins, which I did. It's funny. Mike and I had talked about this recently. I did not realize I was going to be the optimist here. Because I remember a couple of years ago when I said 5 wins and Tally got on my ass for saying, "Oh, David said they're not going to go to a bowl game."
You and me both.
Yeah. Guess what, Tally? I'm the optimist here.
That's right.
Hey, you dumb again, David. You should have flipped it around. You should have been with Daddy this year.
All right, that makes me feel better.
No, I'm just playing, man.
It's only a 1 game difference.
Hey, I was feeling good that
7?
year. But
listen,
no matter what you said this year, David, I was gonna say, "Yep, that's a good pick, buddy," because I don't know nothing.
I can see 5. I can see 8. I mean, anywhere in between. It's one of those weird years where, like, because of how much turnover we had, how much new we have on the staff, there's not a lot of known quantities. And we thought we had a lot of known quantities last year, and between injuries and fumbling by the staff, we didn't turn that into wins. So we'll see.
A lot of stuff there.
I will say if it's 6-6, I don't think Pry keeps his job because I think Witt's going down with him.
Oh, stop. We just had a BOV saying we're fucking poor, Mike. He ain't getting fired unless it's absolutely atrocious.
Only if Witt gets fired.
Yeah,
Witt would have to get fired in October, though.
In October,
for that to make sense.
That is, you guys are opening a can of worms.
So we'll bring you back on in December, David. Then we'll talk about it even more.
I'll be more than happy to.
Well, listen, Mike, David, Danny, it's great seeing y'all again. Hopefully, at some point we cross paths during the season, whether in Blacksburg, Richmond, wherever. We appreciate you guys joining us as always. Again, check Mike McDaniel out on Mike. You're on everything, but Hokie Hangover. David Cunningham on Tech Sideline. Check out Danny Nokes on Twitter and with Victory Life Podcast. As always, we are brought to you by Counts Family Pharmacy in Blacksburg and our new sponsor. He's lighting up the comments in there. He's getting his money's worth. Moments on the Maury. Down in Lexington, Virginia, a place y'all definitely should check out. And Brian, we got one more thing, right?
Yeah, we're gonna run this. Obviously, you guys know that at this point we've got a giveaway of 2 tickets to the Countdown to Kickoff concert down in Atlanta. So I'm gonna let us show a little video here, tell you a little bit about it, and we'll talk a little bit more on the backside with 3 new guys. Hey, Hokie Nation, it's your man Brian from Boundary Corner Podcast. Get ready to kick off the 2025 season in style. Our good friends over at the Hokie Way are hosting the Countdown to Kickoff concert featuring the always fantastic band OAR. Join fellow Hokies, alumni, and fans for an exclusive private event at the iconic Tabernacle in Atlanta, Georgia. That's right, Hokie Nation is taking over the Tabernacle to celebrate the start of the Virginia Tech football season. Matt, tell the people more.
Mark your calendars. The concert's happening Saturday, August 30th at 7 p.m., the night before our opening game against South Carolina. This is more than just a concert. It's a chance to support a great cause. Every ticket you buy will further the Hokie Way's mission of enabling student athletes at Virginia Tech to promote and support our incredible charitable partners. And before the concert, make sure to catch a special on-location broadcast of Tech Talk Live from the venue where Zach Mackey and Mike Burnap will be interviewing special guests.
And here's a special announcement. Boundary Corner Podcast is giving away 2 free tickets to the concert. Visit boundarycornervt.com/concert for details on how you can enter. This is your official welcome to the new football season, so start jumping. For more details or to secure your tickets now, visit thehokieway.org/concert and be sure to use that code Boundary Corner, one word, to save 10% off your order. See you in Atlanta, and go Hokies.
And we are back with the second half of tonight's panel. Oh, we got 3 rocky, crazy. I got a feeling section 1 was a little tame, even though they got rowdy near the end there. But with these guys here, I love them all. Great to see y'all again, fellas. From 2 Deep, Pete B. Tales from the Pterodon, Dan. He is unaffiliated, but he is everybody's favorite Hokie Twitter follower, Grayson Wimbish. Fellas, how are y'all tonight?
Doing good. Ready for it.
Man, can't complain. Just happy to be here, you know?
It's Christmas, fellas. You know, I look forward to this podcast every year. This day is right here is special. I gotta say, this is a fun group. So stoked. Let's get into it.
This is Grace. I think you are the elder statesman here. You made all 4 of these.
I've made a college experience out of this. I'm thrilled. Shout out to you guys. I mean, y'all do incredible work. Dan does incredible work. Pete and Sam over at 2 Deep do incredible work. I think this dais right here definitely is a little bit more of loose cannons than the previous gentleman. So absolutely thrilled to be here, guys.
A little more nothing to lose. Let it fly. See what happens.
That's right.
Well, Tally, let's get it started, man, because we got a bunch of stuff to ask these guys. Let's roll. Are you there? You good?
Yeah, definitely, man. I was trying to get my stuff all fixed back like it was supposed to be.
Get the hat in the shot.
Yeah. So I'll get it started, guys. And just gonna say, you know,
there we go.
When we get to the state of the program in December, which D lineman will y'all say we'll be talking about rec shop this year?
We talking interior or all together?
Wherever you want.
If they in JC's room, who did the work?
Yeah, you can throw whatever you want out.
I'm gonna say the Ginger Freak, dog, James the Jonkum.
Okay.
You got something behind that? You got a reason for us?
I mean, he just the
bring
energy,
the heat, Dan.
You know the energy. Had him on the pod. Really liked what he had to say. Like where his head was. I think him and Ben, not Ben Brown. He's a pitcher for the Cubs, but the other Ben, other Ginger. Yeah, Ben Bell. They're gonna have. I think they're gonna. You know. I think we have some guys in the middle that are going to clog it up, and I think that Cephas is going to set those 2 dudes up to raise hell.
Grayson, what you got on this one?
Dude, I'm going to say I really am excited about North Dakota State transfer Cody Huseman. Pardon me, did I butcher that? I'm excited. We're going to learn his name. You
pulled a Curtis. It's all good.
It's all good.
It's Heisman, right? Like the trophy.
Is it actually Heisman? Is that
Heisman, but not spelled the same.
Not spelled the same, but it's pronounced like Heisman. Yeah,
Cody Heisman. So yeah, but on the defensive line, I'm actually I'd seen just some of the pictures on Instagram. He just kind of seems like he came to Tech because of J.C. Price. Really likes Coach Price. I think resonates with his game a lot. and just kind of reminds me of those old lunch pail defense guys back in the 90s who played for Coach Foster's defense. So I'm excited to see that young man play football.
I will pick up what Dan said and go with Ben Bell instead of DeJonk'um. I probably would have taken DeJonk'um first just because of the production he put on the field at Eastern Michigan, I believe it was, as a linebacker. But I think his size and speed, he will play really well. But I'll go with Ben Bell. Very productive as a defensive lineman a couple years back at Texas State. Had an injury last year, but he put, I believe it was 10 sacks and 16 TFL on the field in 13 games for Texas State.
Yep.
I worry a little bit about the injuries. He had a nagging injury in the spring. He was in maybe a shoulder sling or something in the fall. But if he's on the field, that guy will produce. J.C. Price has a tendency to get the most out of these transfers, even in year one. Peebles and APR both got drafted because of their play at Virginia Tech. And so Ben Bell, I think, could be the next guy there. There's some other like interesting names, and I love what I think it was what Grayson just said. Like Heisman's going to play a lot of snaps. Like he as probably as a backup because it's Gilliam and Copeland in the first string. But with J.C. Price, when he got giddy in that one moment in the post-practice thing where he was talking about Copeland and how he could be a dominant player, he's high up on my list as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. So we had we had Joncum on a couple weeks back, and I mean, talking to him, that's a football player. That's the type of like swag and confidence and ability that I think we really want from that position. So I'm really excited to see what he kind of brings to the table. Curtis, I'll let you kick off this next one here.
Can I add to that real quick? My fault.
Yeah.
No, you're not allowed. You had your damn chance.
Hey, bro. Look, man. Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
I want to say the kid grew up in Northern Virginia, been a Tech fan, didn't get an offer, ended up going the JUCO route, did the JUCO grind, ended up at Arizona State, liked it, but realized like, hey, I need to go somewhere when I enter the portal that I can play. Went to Eastern Michigan. He balled out there, and then he finally gets a chance to come home, and all his family gets to come watch him now. That, like, APR had a similar path. I mean, he went to Florida and came back, but, like, I like these Virginia kids that come back that really want to put on for the home state, and it's their last chance to make it to the league. I think that dude is going to go crazy this year.
I like what you just said there. Virginia kids coming back home, and we've been talking about the edge guys and guys we feel like are going to make, like, ruffle noise. But for the first time in a long time, look at Emmanuel Hickman, 6'3", about 310 pounds, a Matoaka kid, South Side here. Grayson, you know where I'm talking about? Brian. To think about that would like being like right at 3 Bills and knowing what we've seen from San.
We're losing you just a little
Curtis,
bit there.
we don't have you there, bud.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lean in.
Microphone, trying to adjust to it. The old one was crazy. But with that sort of meat on the inside, and it's like, why are we talking about them wrecking shop? Well, if they're keeping the buys on the back end clean and they're able to take doubles where it's Joncum and Bell coming off, where it's like, we have to worry about these guys. That is exactly why I'm excited about him, maybe more than anybody, just sheer size. All right, let's go to the running back room. We got a bunch. It's not a depth issue. Let's hope to God that it is not a usage issue like last year, because there were usage issues. We can get to the Syracuse game. That pissed everybody off, but let's not do that. Who's going to have the most yard from scrimmage, Pete B?
You know, if it had been yesterday, I would have said Terrion Stewart. But now I'm hearing he's in a boot. Sometimes this boot stuff is just literally to protect it while they're healing, and he'll be out of it in a day, and then it's fine. Yeah. But Bully, as they call him, Terrion Stewart, broke almost as many tackles as Ashton Genty. And 2 years ago, his broken tackles per carry rate was through the goddamn roof. Like, this guy is hard to bring down. He had a sensational year for Bowling Green. And if fully healthy, and I think that's what's bothering Pry a little bit, is that he has had these nicks. And, like, you know how some coaches are like, they're harder on the guy if he comes in and maybe gets a twisted ankle and then, like, he's not what he thought he was. he's grinding on him a little bit. Like even in the commentary in one of the post practice things, he said like, yeah, he needs to prove a little something. And if fully healthy, he would be our lead back. But I'll go with him. I won't steal another guy. I will still say Terrion Stewart will lead us in yardage this year.
I'm going Marcellus Hawkins. And I know he's D2, but he played at school, and their mascot, what were they? The Mules. And what do Mules do? They fucking work, baby. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to pull the plow. He's going to will us to victory. And this dude, like the look, I tried not to really get too much into the off-season hype and all the videos, but that hurdle, it moved me. I was bricked, brother. Like straight up, like ready. Yeah, like let's go. Marcellus Hawkins, I like his energy. Got a lot to prove. Potential further 2-year waiver. Don't know yet. This year counts the most. If Terrion Stewart's in a boot, need to get him out of it. Boot scooting boogie, you could say. We got a big game next week against the Cox. It's just time. Like, let's get it, doggy. It's time. Like, Marcellus Hawkins, next man up, RB1. Let's roll, baby.
Dan, if you're that bricked up, you need to get to that Atlanta strip club fast, man.
Magic City. Magic. They got great wings.
You better get your mind right if you bricked up in Atlanta. I'll tell you that right now.
Hey. I talked to Dwight Howard. He told me where to go.
Hey.
I'm avoiding it.
You better get your mind right in
Dan's
Atlanta.
got the George Costanza. I think it moved.
Hey, we're not doing this shit this year where we're asking about the prettiest girls on some college campus talking about being bricked up in Atlanta. I remember that last year, Tally. I remember that. You asked Dan and I some freaky shit.
Dan froze, man. Dan, it was like, what? Arizona State, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't know what to say.
Jeremiah Coney, gentlemen, new number 4 on offense. Excited to see him play. And then also, I mean, it kind of makes me wonder. I mean, there's Tyler Mason as well. Will we see any glimmers of Jeff Overton? Don't know. But, yeah, we'll see.
He's cleared. I think it's more of a working him all the way back from that injury from the offseason and whether he's going to get any burn as a result of the depth that's out there. But I mean, I think, obviously talent wise, he's going to be that guy. Just will it be his turn this year? I guess we'll kind of wait and see for sure.
Braden Bennett, I should say, deserves a mention.
Yeah.
Maybe a guy out of the backfield. He's from Coastal, kind of a hybrid role. He could do a little bit of both, and they like him a lot. And in terms of like PFF ratings, he was a highly rated guy as well, and per touch. And so is the three-headed monster Bennett, Stewart, and Hawkins, or is it Stewart, Hawkins, and Coney? I don't know, but Pry wants to have 3.
Yeah, PJ also should get some looks in there, I would think, judging by what he did before he got hurt, but who knows?
He had that great run against Miami in that game.
Yeah.
Phantom hold and call.
Phantom hold.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Very bad injury luck last year behind in the running back field. Like if Prelo hadn't gotten hurt at the time that he got hurt, we needed a back because Tootin was banged up. Like he really could have had, like it could have emerged had he not gotten hurt. I was disappointed to.
You mean ran the ball more than like 6 times versus Clemson?
Dude, I still can't believe we didn't give the ball. Coney averaged like 7 yards a carry against Syracuse, and they didn't give him 10. Sorry,
9.6 a carry against Syracuse,
and he didn't get a single carry against Clemson, a team that can't defend the run. I still am not over it. I'm not over it.
We're not
allegedly Coney pulled his hammy that week during practice. So
no, because they put him on the field.
Dan.
If you go back to that game, they put him on the field a few times. If he had that sort of hammy, they wouldn't have did that. He was on the field for a couple minutes.
He broke his hand or something. Something was, you never know, man. They had so many injuries and stuff, and they happen. I know that they're there, but
we shouldn't have lost to Syracuse.
We shouldn't have
lost to friggin' Syracuse.
Shouldn't have lost to Vanderbilt either, but we can keep going.
We can keep going. Shelton, you're up next, man. Toss these boys a bone, see if you can get them to fight.
Yeah, let's talk defensive backs. So we got a couple rooms here. First off, cornerbacks, incoming transfers, Isaiah Brown-Murray, commonly referred to as IBM, which I think is a pretty cool nickname. Caleb Brown comes in from Hawaii, and then you got Joseph Reddish in from Wingate. Obviously, the returners, Dante Lovett and Thomas Williams, and you can throw in Josh Clark there, the redshirt freshman. Now, the safety room is interesting because you've got Quentin Reddish coming back. Obviously, had that kick return touchdown against Clemson, which was his big highlight, but he had a few valuable snaps last season. And then you got the four-headed transfer quartet, Christian Ellis, Sherrod Coble, Tyson Flowers, and Isaiah Cash. So between the cornerbacks and safeties, which room gives you guys more pause? Which are you more confident in? Which are you more kind of looking forward to seeing play? We can start with Pete and kind of work our way out.
I think it's got to be corner for more concern, just because the depth at safety is better. If we had Josh Clark, and we know he's injured right now and is probably going to miss the entire year, I would feel differently. As a whole, I love the DB room, but I think the concern on the outside is behind Dante Lovett. Like, who is that number 2 corner?
Yep.
Because IBM is a nickel / safety, and we might do a lot of 3 high safety looks where IBM could be on the field. So I know he's been playing a little outside, but his requirements will probably be at nickel or as a third safety. So I am concerned about an outside corner.
Yeah, I would say before Josh Clark got hurt, I was really excited about the corners. I was really excited for what Josh Clark had the potential to bring to the field, but that's not going to happen this year, unfortunately. So I'm thinking I definitely have a little more concern about the cornerback room by default. But I do they've said good things about the progression of JoJo Krim as a true freshman, Knowledge Harrell, Jamar DeLoach, but Thomas Williams, he's been here. He was here last year. He has a little experience. So I figure I don't know anything about Caleb Brown. I know he came from Hawaii, but that's all I know. And IBM had a lot of good things said about him from East Carolina, right?
Yep. Hawaii by way of Alabama. Yeah. Get that shit right, Dan.
Oh, my fault, bro. My fault. But
he's a West Coast kid. He a Deep South kid.
Yeah. He don't give a piss about nothing but the Hokies now. But what I'm saying is, CB2 would obviously be more of a concern just because we don't know. I mean, we don't know about the safety room either, but I know they got 8 of them to come in, so I would think at least 2 or 3 of them will be serviceable. I like Isaiah Cash's film a lot. He brings the boom. Sherrod Coble, you hope works out. It's another Virginia kid coming back. So we want that success story, and we wanted him bad to begin with before he went to Clemson. So yeah, I would cornerback room. Long story short, or short story long, whichever. Yeah.
Pete and Dan, really covered most of the ground there. For me, guys, there's just so many new names this year. As we just kind of watch the first couple of weeks, I'm literally going to be sitting there with the roster up on my laptop, who the hell are these guys?
There's so many names in that secondary that are new.
But I'm there's so many new names in the secondary. I will say, there's plenty of depth in the safety room. We've acknowledged that now ad nauseum. All I'll say is I am such a diehard fan of Dante Lovett. I cannot wait to watch that kid play. He is such a dog. He wears the stick proudly. We've had a lot of dogs wear the number 1 in the past, and he's absolutely filling those shoes. So, and I'm so glad he stayed. I was so worried that at the end of last year, just kind of based on what happened, he was going to hop in the portal and get the hell out of town. So the fact that he's back in Blacksburg, thrilled about that. To Dan's point, I am excited to see Koval play. He was definitely the one that got away when he committed to New Spring University, and now he's back in Blacksburg. So thrilled about that.
I will say what Dan pointed out about the freshman corners is very important, because we've seen freshman corners come in and play immediately at Tech. Brandon Faison and Kyle Fuller in the same year, right? Which Faison was unexpected. Fuller was very expected as a 5-star, but JoJo Krim could find his way on the field sooner than later. They've been talking about him ever since he got here, and Knowledge as well. So DeLoach was the high recruit that we got back in the boat on signing day. Yep. But those other 2 guys seem to be getting the most like praise throughout the spring and into the fall. So I think those freshmen will factor in. But Thomas Williams, not only as a corner, but as a return man, we saw him do some things last year.
Yeah, but and everybody's worried about corner, but I think what we're going to see, or what we're probably all looking for, is what are we running? Because if we're running 3 high safety all the time, even a nickel, because you can do it. If you got a guy that can cover, it's less stress on your depth, right? Yeah. That if we're running constant 3 high safeties, it's like, okay, we need only 3 cornerbacks. I wish we could ask David this, but I think IBM's been working some outside. I feel like that's been reports. He's been working on the outside, which would alleviate some depth. And just the way he looks like an absolute dog. Like, he looks like he wants to go in there and fight people at all times. So, and I know that can be good or bad for a corner, but at least you know he wants to compete.
He's got the confidence of a corner. He definitely does.
Yeah. I believe Sifka said that he's the nickel. So when they're in nickel packages, he will be on the inside, but there's definitely room for him to play on the outside.
Yeah, he could be more of a kind of a rotational player when they're not running nickel packages, but he'll be the primary when you look at those nickel packages. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm just trying to restrain from making a very niche IBM joke here, so I'll let it move on here.
But I mean, Pry has shown the ability he'll play a freshman. I mean, Breon Murray was awful, and he played Mansour Delane, who died and went to heaven. I don't know. He's at LSU, but they will do it if it goes bad enough on that side. So
yeah.
Well, again, it's one of the Callie. You've talked about this in the past about the corner position, and you played college ball. It's one of those that can flip easy.
Yeah, definitely. Corner's one of those, it's, I ain't gonna say easy to get on the field, but it's one of the easier because it's all about skill set. It's all about what you have. As long as you got the size to kind of be able to bang against a wide receiver, which is not going to be a lineman. It's all about, are your hips open enough to dance with this guy in front of you? And a lot of these kids nowadays they can come straight out of high school and be ready to play. So not saying that that's going to happen, but if it does happen, corner's one of those positions that you see it happen more often than any other position. So switching gears a little bit now from talking about defense, we're going to talk about offense a little bit. The leader of the offense, which is Kyron Drones at quarterback. We've seen glimpses of, greatness from Kyron. But we also seen some bad spots from him, some injuries, things like that. What do you guys think Kyron needs to do this year to, I would say, I guess, wow some NFL scouts just to play his way onto an NFL roster? What does he need to show? What does he need to do?
He needs to find his swagger again from from the Military Bowl 2 years ago. I feel like Kyron really started to find his stride. He really found his confidence 2 years ago. He was dropping dimes in the bucket, looked like a very comfortable playmaker. Last year, I know he was dinged up, but he regressed a little bit last year to no real fault of his own. He had Parker Clemens blocking for him and sacking him periodically. And you know what, Parker, I'm sure you're a nice kid. We wish you well. Just, on LinkedIn, but it's fine. So I'm saying what everyone thinks. All right. So
exactly.
I'm saying what everyone thinks. But yeah, really just find his groove, find his swagger again. If he can come out and put together a complete game against South Carolina and really find his rhythm again, maybe the season will go a little bit different than I think a lot of us think it will. But yeah, I think that's the answer right there is find a swagger. He's got it. We know he's got it.
Thanks. I think the important part for him is if he can, because he went on Adam Brenneman and he said that obviously what we all knew, he was very shy in the pocket last year because he was very nervous about his protection. He didn't have any faith in it. So if this offensive line, this new iteration, can give this man some confidence building blocks to begin that South Carolina game and he can get into a flow, I think that swagger will come back. I think we're going to need to see more accurate balls on a consistent basis. And I think Monty, knowing what his identity is for this offense, will help him a lot better as well, because he won't be wondering every week, like, is the game plan going to be run the ball 8 million times, or is the game plan going to be to throw the ball 8 million times? Is the game plan going to be to flip it to this dude and throw it to me in the end? Like, we just don't know. Like, it was reinventing the wheel every week. Like, we just didn't know what the offense was going to look like. So I think a more consistent vision, better blocking, and him being able to reestablish his confidence and become a little more accurate with the ball and put up more numbers will obviously go, like, it'll help him tremendously as far as the NFL goes.
Yeah, in the Vanderbilt game right off the bat, you could just see there was a discomfort there. And I know he got stepped on or whatever, but like the actual plays, the actual presence in the pocket, it looked like he was overthinking things. His head didn't seem clear. And Dan said reinventing the wheel. That's a direct quote from Coach Pry. Like, we won't have to be reinventing the wheel on offense every week, which has to be a direct shot at Tyler Bowen. And Monty has come in, and Kyron loved the offense right off the bat. He should be comfortable. He should be confident. And thank God he's healthy, because when he was in a boot at the end of June and into July, it's like, what's even going to happen here? Well, he got out of that boot and he's hit the ground running. And from everything we've heard, he looks good, looks like the old Kyron again. So if the protection is better and his head is clear, and maybe his clear eyes, full heart, you know, that's right. Baby. That's right. No, but it's the offensive piece of it with Monty and him being on the same page, in addition to the O-line, is huge. Like, it's absolutely huge. And when you bring in two new coordinators, you don't know how it's going to go. But just hearing how much he likes the offense and Monty's history with more mobile quarterbacks, it has me excited.
Yeah, I think
hold on. Can I do something real quick?
Go ahead, Curtis.
Shelton's always on this with Kyron. Shelton, you always talked about his deep ball. That's the issue. Because he's good. Intermediate routes, short routes, he gets them there. He's got the gun. If he improves that, I think that gets him. But, Shelton, do you believe someone like Philip Montgomery can fix that? Because that's been your thing. You've been like, yes, he's a beast running. Yes, he's good at short routes. But, God, Sheldon doesn't say that because Sheldon's a nice kid. But GD he can't hit a deep ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because I feel like it takes a really good quarterbacks coach to kind of, you know, coach you into good habits, just because it's such a mental position, and there's so many, you know, different factors involved. Like, you know, if you're seeing ghosts, the protection's bad, like Grayson mentioned, you can really start to kind of get in your own head. So I feel like hopefully with more confidence, he'll be better there. But I feel like for me, like we saw, you know, last year, the Hokies' bread and butter, the short passing game kind of got taken away. And so Bowen didn't really have like an off-speed pitch. Like, you know, we take away the fastball, no off-speed pitch. So Montgomery likes to throw the ball pretty deep downfield. I'm just curious to see like how that works with Kyron's game and if the protection holds up as well. Because I think there's, you know, it could be kind of a hit or miss type of thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, we know we're still going to see those short routes. It's just they're not going to be as behind the line. Like, you're not going to see negative plays come from those short routes like we saw in Tyler Bowen's offense, where so much of that short passing game is predicated off screens and kind of those quick outs, things that are at or behind the line of scrimmage. You're at least going to see some positive yards off of this, but Kyron's going to have to be more consistent with completing those routes, and he's going to have to be able to take advantage down the field to stretch those defenses out, and we're going to have to be consistent in the running game. But my thing with Kyron, and I know you guys have hit on it a little bit, is that he plays differently when he's confident. And we saw the swagger come out in that Pitt game a couple years ago, and it kind of, you know, other than Louisville, we didn't really see, we was pretty consistent the rest of the year. He played with a good degree of confidence for the rest of the season. I think only 2 games last year where he looked really confident, at least the confidence that we had saw in 2023.
Mm-hmm. Stanford,
Miami
too.
Yeah. So we only saw a couple games where he looked really comfortable with what he was doing, with what he was seeing, with what the expectations were for him within the game plan. I think Montgomery is going to be that kind of that even keel, that stabilizing factor for him, because he talked about on the interview with Adam, he had been seeing a sports therapist and trying to get the mentals of injuries and all the stuff of being this focal point of the offense and really be able to come into his leadership. I think having that confidence in himself and confidence in the guys around him is going to pay big dividends this year.
One thing
also
go ahead, Dan.
Sorry. I was gonna say, not to like shit on Quan Felton, but like I feel like he gave up on a lot of those deep balls last year. Like if he would have just like dove for a couple or like reached out, it might have improved Kyron's deep ball percentage. But I mean, I'm not a wide receiver coach, or I don't play wide receivers.
I was going to say,
man in the stands.
Yeah, Dwight makes a great point there with the too much hype impacted the offense. Expectations, not the same hunger. I also think that expectations things goes on Kyron too, because not just because there's higher expectations, but as these quarterbacks who are known to be scramblers, Kyron got rid of the best scrambler in Athlon 2 years ago. And when they see that, and when you're trying to get to the NFL, there is this feeling that you need to show the world that you can pass. And I feel like we came into last season, and Bowen came into last season with the 4 wide receivers that came back. We're going to pass the football. And it's happened year after year, where year one, Joe Rudolph and those guys, they said we ran the wrong offense for 6 weeks. Year two, we ran the wrong offense for 5 weeks. And then last year, we did the same damn thing until we were like, you know what, we should probably give Tootin the ball. And it's that's the kind of shit I just don't want to see again, and we shouldn't see again, because Montgomery's been in this game a long time. And so you couple that and Kyron working out with Cam and Shador, who are much better passers than him, and that pressure was on him too. And so it was a bad recipe. Now the hunger's there. Maybe NFL is like, yeah, I need to do what I do best if I want to get a chance to go back there. And all the things are now in place to be like, he plays more free and more confident.
Yep.
Callie, you about to say something? When I start it's usually you got
I was just listening to Pete, and he's right. It's like you just got to do what you're good at. You know what I'm saying? You can't going back and watching that Vanderbilt game, it's like watching Kyron play. It was drilled in his head that he had to do certain things instead of just going and being who he is. He may not ever be Brett Favre, I don't know, Tom Brady, as far as throwing the ball, pick somebody, but he can be Kyron. You know what I'm saying? What makes him good, he can go do that. And I feel like all offseason, whether it be the expectations on himself or the expectations on the other quarterbacks he was working out with, was he needed to do these things, or he needed to have this many yards passing to be considered a good quarterback. I don't fully believe that. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen some dog shit quarterbacks make it to the NFL. I'm just telling you. Like, some of them are still getting paid now, and they ain't never done nothing. So I'm not saying that he will or won't make it. I'm just saying, to have the best shot, you just got to go out and be you, as any player, and the chips will fall where they may. So I'm just hoping that he just goes and, I ain't saying we need to run him or we need to do. I'm just saying Kyron's been playing football a long time, and I feel like if he takes the layups, he'll be fine. If it's a running lane there, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I mean, to that point you just made about Kyron, like it almost felt like he had to do certain things in the Vanderbilt game. Most of us were there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We saw that team that day. When your QB feels that way, the rest of the team feels that way. It was very palpable. It's almost like, you could see how almost nervous they were when we were, I firmly believe, the better team, talent-wise. But it's like we just couldn't get out of our own way, but it starts with Kyron Drones. It's like he just seemed uncomfortable. And as a byproduct of that, the guys around him, you could see it. It was very apparent. Yeah. And so versus South Carolina, you can't go out there into that big ass stadium in front of all those people and feel like you got to do something. You got to go be Kyron Drones.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
And we got to go be Virginia Tech. You know what I'm saying? We can't go be Alabama. We can't go be anybody that we are not, is what I felt like we thought we were last year. Coming in with those expectations, and people getting paid plays a big part in the game. It's like, let's keep it real. Like, I love the Lord, and I actually like going to church. But if I won like $5 million, I don't know that I would go to church Sunday. I would go back eventually, but I don't know if I would go Sunday. I probably would find some other stuff to do before I go to church. You know what I'm saying? So bring that into like football.
Praise God.
A lot of these players, you know, get NIL, and I ain't saying that they didn't have no money, but they get a good sum of money, and they find other stuff to do besides working or what their routine is. And I feel like that's kind of what happened, or that's what's happening all over college football. You know,
yeah. I got Telly, you frame a metaphor like nobody else.
I'm just saying, man. I'm trying to bring this thing because I know not everybody has played sports, and I'm not saying I played so much sports, but I'm just saying some people who watch sports really hadn't played. Some of y'all out there want to tell people what to do, and you really ain't played, and that's okay. So I try to put it in a place where everybody can relate to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you probably go to church and worship something, so you kind of understand what I'm saying. But when you get paid, when you start getting paid, though, it's different, man. And when you watch some of these players, and you're like, dang, what happened to him? Or dang, what happened to him? This person is trying to get paid. This person just got paid, and it looks different. So I feel like we've seen some of that last year, and I'm hoping that this year all of that stuff is out the window. And I ain't saying like I want to be the underdog. I just want to be who we are. Like if we're ranked 50, let's go play. If we're ranked 15, let's go play. I feel like last year coming into that Vanderbilt game, we thought we were going to walk in there and it was going to be a cakewalk. And when we realized it wasn't, it was like, oh shit, what do we do? Yep. You know, that was the feeling through the whole game. So this is going to be a little bit. This is going to be a little bit different. I'm not saying we're gonna go in and win because I don't know. I definitely don't even want to get to that right now. But I feel like South Carolina has the pressure on them more than us.
Oh, 100%. Sean, I'm gonna disagree. Yep. I'm gonna disagree with what Sean's got up here, because now it is what you do in high school is what's getting you paid in NIL. It used to be high school, college, then NFL. But I'm going to make one quick statement before we pivot to the next question here, and that's this. We know Philip Montgomery basically had been recruiting Kyron Drones since he was in high school, right? He was, I think, second offer was from Tulsa when he was like a junior in high school, very early. So he knows who he is as a person. He's met him, obviously. And I think that might go a long way, because for what he was doing at Tulsa those years, we all saw it. We saw it in 15 when he was running it, and then subsequent years later. Could he be the guy that unlocks every piece of potential? Because we're going to run you some. We're going to improve short passes. We're going to improve the deep ball. Because I saw you at 16. There was a reason I wanted you to come to my team to play. There was a reason. And now, you know, how many years later? 6 years later, the opportunity's arisen. So we'll see. But let me take the next one here. Let's go to defense, because everybody knows that's how you win championships. If Sam Sekas improves this defensive metric in 2025, y'all think about it, and I'll give y'all a second. Metrics, all that stuff up. If you need to pull things up, think about it. If he improves this defensive metric in 2025, the Hokies can be a top 25 defense.
Tackling.
That ain't a metric.
My bad.
That's a technique.
Y'all go ahead.
No brainer. Situational football, last 2 minutes of the game. If you look at the Hokies record before the final 2 minutes of the game, Brent Pry is a god, and he's on his way to a statue. And He's won ACC championship already. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, just situational football, you clean it up, especially the last 2 minutes of a game in a close game. We are cooking with far more grease.
It's a good answer, Dan. It's a very good answer. I would say limiting the explosive plays, whether that's explosive plays per game, per drive, whatever it is, but explosive plays on offense when you're the defender is one of the leading indicators of like winning games. If you have more explosive plays, there's a very good chance. I know Shelton's all over this, but that would be my thing is if we can, the situational football is huge, but we saw some big plays in the Vandy game. We saw big plays in the Syracuse game, Duke game, good Lord. So those are the kind of things that Cephas and his game plan, defense, putting it all together, you have to limit explosives. And he's kind of talked about that a little bit. So that is a key for me.
I mean, I think measurable metrics. I mean, you improved the tackles for loss tally. I'll add 4 loss after tackling.
Now it works.
That works. Tackles for loss. Guys, I mean, to tighten the screw on Pultz's point, when did Virginia Tech teams last year fall apart? The third quarter.
Oh, yeah.
You went into the locker room. You might have been up at half. You're having a great game. I think about the Boston College game, Thursday night, and we're kind of laying the wood, and then all of a sudden they start making a run back in the third quarter, and then that goes to Pete's point. Explosive plays. You're letting these guys score and catch up. It's like, dude, you have got to play complete defense in the third quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say that about the offense too, but really, I mean, that's where we fell apart.
Do you know the number, Grayson, last year?
Say again.
Do you know the number?
Number of what capacity?
No.
Oh, in the third quarter? No, I actually don't know.
We gave up 100 third quarter points last year. The average is like 6. So that would be about 75. Yeah. We gave up 100. We gave up almost in 12 games. We roughly gave up almost 8.5 points a quarter, which is 2.5 points higher than normal. So that's the insane.
And you want to be Dan's point. To be a good team, you'd like to be better than the average.
You'd like to be way behind the average.
Not 25% worse than the average.
Dan, I went down a rabbit hole, and I'm glad you brought this up. And this is about the third time people that listen to us do it. 43 points in the last 4 minutes of games we gave up. 43 points. Think about that. If you just cut that in half, what's our record last year? Is everybody pissed off right now?
If you go with the 0-5 in one score games, I mean, what if we're 3-2? You know, what if we're 2-3? Like the whole season is different. You know,
You beat Vanderbilt, maybe. You beat.
7 points in the last minute for them, just so you know.
It's wild, man. And like, so to that point, I mean, Dan talked about situational, you guys have talked about, moments in the game. And I know Shelton isn't a big fan of this, but like being able to get off the field on third down, like we were pretty poor, especially in those situational moments, especially in the third quarter. We could not get our defense off the field.
Shelton, did you find it yet?
Yeah, talking about explosive plays allowed, I didn't realize how bad it was, but we were 123rd in plays of 10 plus yards allowed, 131, as well as plays of 20 plus yards allowed, 127th. And you can go pretty much down the line, 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, all bottom 10 in the country, pretty much every single one.
When we didn't bend, but we broke.
Clip that.
I'm guessing when Brent Pry's first ever interview was that long ass play from Maryland. That was bad omen.
Man, these coaches have to just go coach, and players have to play. They have to, like, if you can't make a play, put somebody else in. I keep saying the same stuff because it seems simple to me. It's like somebody was like, well, they didn't have nobody else. I'm like,
they did.
It's like 70 people on the sideline. Just put somebody in. Just put them in.
My counter to that tally is if you're running the same shitty defense, putting in a new guy isn't necessarily going to help. Caleb Woodson, in spite of our defense, showed out last year.
True.
I just think like the coaching, as Dwight is pointing out, strength and conditioning coaching has been so poor for 3 years that it has not been the Jimmies and the Joes. It has been the X's and O's for 3 years. Billy said this on a show the other night. Billy was on the strength and conditioning thing for a while too with Dwight. And we have been unprepared for 3 years to go into these games. Remember when they decided they were going to wake up everybody early before BC? And that was the secret sauce. They are grasping at straws to try to figure out how to get the team ready to play a game from the gun. And hopefully by changing 4 different coaches, we figured it out this year. But the talent has not been the problem. That's why I was saying my counter is that don't just put someone else in, because it's still Marv's defense. It's still not going to be run correctly.
But this is the thing. This is where I go, Pete, on that a couple of ways. So when you go on offense and you watch offensive lineman miss 3 blocks.
That's fair.
I'm just saying, you watch an offensive lineman miss 3 blocks out of 3 plays. Just put somebody else in to see if they're going to miss 3 or if they're going to miss 2 out of the 3. That thing. And then if you I don't care if you got Ed Reed on your defense and he misses a tackle that you need at a pivotal part of the game, I ain't saying take him out for the whole game, but you got to try somebody else just to let them know that you have somebody else that's on your behind. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I feel like the coaching staff, and that goes back to coaching. I feel like the coaches were so indebted to each other or indebted to certain players that they were scared to put somebody else in.
Well, the coaching on the O-line just continued to make no sense throughout the year.
Right.
And it goes back to – but, Tally, your point is perfect. We are in the age of NIL. People are getting paid. I love what you say. You suck right now. Sit your ass down. Well, you're paying me $300,000 a year, and your ass ain't worth it. You ain't doing $300,000 worth a year playing. Go sit down. I'm going to take Mr. 50K over here, and if he goes out there and busts ass, I'm going to give him your money next year.
And I'll say this.
And now you can do that. The whole thing is you can do that now. Like, literally, if someone comes up to a coach and says, why'd you bench him? You gave him all that money. He sucks. Is he worth that money? Well, I guess not. Do you want his money? I'd love to have his money. Then go beat his ass out on the field, and then you get his money. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan. You've been.
I would say, it has to be ability over ego, because if you embarrass the name on the back of the jersey, they just got to live with that. But if you embarrass the name on the front of the jersey, your ass is getting fired. So, I mean, which one you want to do?
Yeah, and everybody's got to live with that. If you embarrass the name on the front, everybody on that team has to deal with the ramifications of that. Right. So at the end of the day, you got to perform.
It's all of that is so true. And guys, this is pre-NIL era. I'm going to throw it back a little bit. I don't know if y'all remember. This is early transfer portal days. Do y'all remember Jake Johnson, the linebacker at Virginia Tech?
Oh, yeah.
Number 36. So, there was a little while, he came in, he was a 3-star recruit. He was playing a lot. And then all of a sudden, he kind of started to let it slip a little bit. And Bud Foster replaced him with Lindell Gibson, who also, started to let it slip. But at first, Johnson wasn't really cutting it the way he used to. And Foster said, listen, Jake, I'm putting Gibson in, because he's getting it done at a higher level than you are. And then we saw Jake Johnson transfer as a byproduct of that. But that's even just a pre-NIL example in Virginia Tech lore I think about, where a coach said, hey, listen, dude, if you're not getting it done, I'm putting in the next guy.
Yeah, it's overall in sports. We all know that that's good practice. Play the best guy.
Sure.
That was not what I was trying to say to Tally. The overarching point was I was saying the schemes were so bad that it wouldn't have necessarily mattered. Now, on the offensive line, it might have mattered. And we've seen that with Montavious Cunningham, who couldn't get on the field under the last offensive line coach. They're now saying could be our best offensive lineman this year. So, there was a lot of issues in the coaching department last year.
Well, it's wild that he could get on the field last year and then turned around, and this year he was probably the primary reason that a Bob Schick transfers to Oklahoma State. So it's a very interesting
Thank God for
dynamic.
Matt Moore.
And thank God for Matt Moore. Absolutely.
Thank God for coaching change. I mean, all of the coaches we had. Who was it that talked about it?
It was me and you, Tally. We talked about it at some point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like tonight, somebody was talking about just the turnover in coaching, or how bad of an idea it was to hire a brand new coach and a brand new coordinator.
It's probably Mike McDaniel. That sounds like something.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't remember.
We had all of these. Tweets and pictures about going on camping trips together and going catfish noodling or something. I don't care about none of that. Like, I don't care if y'all are friends. I hope y'all hate each other, but y'all just want to win.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see coaches that are going to challenge each other to be better. And if it's not working, you find a way to make it work. That's what I care about. I don't care if you're taking them on vacation and stuff at this point. Like, yeah, it might have been cool whenever years, but now you got to throw that out. I just want to see competent coaching. And I don't, like Pete said, I don't feel like we've had that for 3 years, so.
Yeah. And Tally, to your point, I think it can go in the other direction because we saw how much the wheels completely fell off at Florida State last year. So like the culture and the dynamic of the team chemistry still matters, but because of NIL, it probably doesn't carry the same weight that it carried a decade ago. Right. So you're going to still need to juggle that. But to your point, I don't think that's moving the needle for, especially recruiting in the offseason or anything. What's moving the needle right now is, do you fit what I do well, and are you going to pay me?
It's true. All right. Sheldon's got to head out of here. So he's got one he wants to throw to y'all, and I'm sure this is going to – Sheldon, since you got to dip, put who you think who your guy is before you dip out.
Yeah. Well, so we're talking defensive players. We've talked a lot of guys tonight. IBM, James Jonkum. We've talked, safeties. My question is, who do you think is the most important player on this 2025 Virginia Tech defense? And before you give your answer, I will say I'm going with our defensive end, who I've heard some good things about during camp. That would be Ben Bell. Very highly touted guy out of Texas State. I think he's going to be a big difference maker for this team. So give me your guys' top player for this 2025 defense.
Dante Lovett.
Ooh.
Dante Lovett.
Caleb
breakout season. That kid's going to be a star.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see how he plays against South Carolina. He's going up against Lenora Sellers. Is he able to hold his own in coverage against throws from this guy who's supposed to be, Michael Vick 2.0? Somebody tweeted that the other day. What was it, Pete? You said I'm also Michael Vick.
If someone said that
the worst
Lenora
version
Sellers,
people just be putting stuff.
Lenora Sellers is Michael Vick with less talent. It's like,
yeah. They tried to create a banger, and it just it bonged.
Pete said, "Wait a sec, I got one."
You said something, Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah, Caleb Woodson. Big problem for this defense has been middle linebacker. He is now, for all we know, going to be the middle linebacker. Big responsibility, pretty much the leader of the defense at that position. Going to need to see it be strong. He's a stud. I think Caleb Woodson is the most important piece to our defense this year.
I think the probably three best players in the defense might have already been named by Shelton, Grayson, and Dan. But Tyson Flowers will be immensely important this year. And one of the reasons why is we've played two true freshman safeties the last 2 years, Mose Phillips and Quinn Reddish, and thrown those guys to the Wolves. And the play hasn't been all that great from the safety position due to the injuries to Stroman. So bringing in a veteran like him, who when you hear him talk and you saw the interview with Colby, like that guy's a stud. Like he is going to be a stalwart back there as long as he's healthy. He's older. He's a redshirt junior. He's his fourth year of college football. So I am looking forward to him quarterbacking that new look defensive secondary. And I'm excited to see what Tyson does because I think he's going to be a big part of this defense.
No, that's good, Pete. I was thinking the same thing just because of how many deficiencies we've had back there. I'm not going to say best player on the defense, But most important, which is what the question asked, I would have said the same thing you did, just because if we're playing Q back there, Q's still going to have a lot of growing pains, and you're going to have to pair him with somebody who can overcome some of those growing pains and with some experience. Because last year, if you had Q and you had Most back there, that's a youth movement. And we know Most would come up and hit you. Like, no disrespect to the kid. He would come up and hit you, but he would be out of position and hit his own player, and then somebody score a touchdown.
The Duke game was really bad for the safeties.
Right.
And this could be a total game changer if you have two guys back there knowing what they're doing.
Right. And that's perfect way to put it. So, I mean, I don't even know that I would have said Flowers' name because I don't even know who. I haven't paid attention enough to know who's going to be back there. But that safety position,
it's a cast of characters, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
Safety
There's
position is definitely important this year.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned the Sherrod Koval. I mean,
Yep. He's kind of, what's crazy, Brian, is like, I feel like, I mean, Dan mentioned him already once tonight. Koval's kind of been an afterthought, and not in a disrespectful way. It's like no one's really talking about him. Yeah. I feel going into this season, and I mean, he was such a highly touted recruit out of Virginia, going down to Clemson, and I mean, it was a big deal when we
didn't he come in hurt though?
Yeah,
he's been nicked. I don't think he played much during the.
Well, 2 years ago he was playing really well. He got hurt, and then he had to come on the field last year after an ACL, and he actually played like okay in the time period that he had to play. So healing up from that, could he give us more? Like, I think he could. It's been a tough road for him though. Obviously, like you don't end up back here from Clemson unless some things have maybe gone a little haywire. But between him, Ellis, Cash, like we've kind of alluded to it, like we're gonna find enough pieces because I think it's Q and it's Flowers to start, but there's enough here that you really have some nice depth.
Yeah, and I know Pete, we talked about it after the spring game. Like Ellis probably looked the best overall in that game, but then I know he got nicked up shortly thereafter, and seems like he's a little bit behind Flowers and Reddish at this point. And I know Reddish didn't get a whole lot of burn during the spring either, but it's good. I think they're going to play a lot of guys. I think you're going to see at least, of the names we've named, at least 5, maybe even 6 of those guys getting pretty considerate burn in the safety room.
You see that? Comment.
Go ahead, Dan.
And then you got the dark horse Jordan Bass. Like we don't know, is he going to redshirt? Is he going to play any? Like looks pretty good in practice, but a little undersized, a little hurt. Like we don't know. It's going to be a carousel of friends we made along the way.
The answer to this question, gentlemen, really is who's the most important player. It's every single friggin' one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, just the defensive performance last year specifically, I mean, just left us all scratching our heads so many times. And that really, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Dwight Vick talked about it with y'all last week. I mean, it's coaching. And just the moment we all kind of knew this wasn't working out with Coach Marv, again, no disrespect to him, was the Syracuse game. And that game kind of was epitomized his defenses and the defenses of old. And with Coach Sivkas, like, we just can't have that. Like, you have to see a stark improvement across the board defensively. I loved it. I put it on X the other day. The fact that Coach Xavier Adibi is coaching the inside linebackers, dog, that fires me up. Like, I love that. He was one of my favorite Virginia Tech football players of all time. Wouldn't have it any other way. So we all agree. Defense has to play with poise. We got to swarm to the football. We got to play with confidence, and we got to play mean, man. Those Bud Foster mentality, lunch pail mentality. It's everyone's important now.
I like what you say. Everyone's important, because I think with Sivkas, we've talked about it earlier, and I think y'all are probably seeing it too, looking back at Wofford, understanding where he's coming from. Is I do think you're not going to get run of the mill every week. I do think, and you've heard him talk about, like, we need to occasionally be able to adjust. If this is going to be a power run team, we've got to be able to adjust. We can't just – Brian, you said this a long time ago about the Fuente era. We're just going to do what we do. Sam Seifkes doesn't think like that. You don't do what we do. You do what's going to stop them. Because if you do what you do, and what you do is what they can absolutely feast on, then you're going to get killed every game. And I think it goes to a point of, I think every week, if you ask me what would be perfect, every week when we go live, Pete, you guys jump on. Dan, you talk about it. Grayson, you tweet. You want a new player. Well, Grayson, you're more than welcome to come on with anybody anytime.
Yeah. I'm with
you know what I'm saying
here every now and again.
I know. But what I would love to see is every week it's a tweeter to talk about. That was the guy this week. Tyson Flowers absolutely was all over the field. Dante Lovett put this guy on lock. They couldn't look his way the whole game. Junkum and Bell just kept coming off the edge. The tackles had nothing for them. Pause.
Full go.
But you see what I'm saying is, I think because of what Seifkes is, and like we talk about his mind and about like what he likes to do, I think that would be the story. It's every week there's a new hero, and every week somebody does something great. And if that's the story, then it goes back to what we've been talking about, what Pete alluded to, what Tally's alluded to. We've had talent. We have not had the coaches to put these gentlemen in positions to be successful.
Yeah, and Curtis, when I talk about, that do what we do mentality, it kind of goes back to what Shelton was talking about earlier with not really having an off-speed pitch or not really having a counter punch. When I think of we do what we do, that's your punch. But when you get punched in the mouth yourself, you got to have a counter punch. You got to have something else that you can bring to the table and adjust and take away that element that they brought to the table that maybe you weren't prepared for, or maybe you didn't exactly think that they were gonna stack up the same way that they have in this matchup. You've got to have something else in your toolbox that can mitigate those problems that arise in a game. You've got to have those mitigation strategies as they come around. That's about preparation, and that goes back to coaching.
Are you talking about when Rutgers ran the same play 8 times and gained about 15 yards of play every time?
The flat.
That's one of them.
The flat was so open.
Football it is a complex sport, but it's really not as complicated as some people make it. I always talk. I'm not an Alabama fan by no means. They got some crazy fans. They all rednecks and I'll just say that anyway. But Nick Saban is the GOAT. Like that is Nick Saban's the GOAT. If you go study how he coached and things he did, he knew how to change his team. If you go back and look at the early Nick Saban Alabama teams, it was all about a pocket quarterback and standing back and being in the pocket and relying on the running game. And then they had to shift and they had Blake Sims as a quarterback one year, and Alabama fans lost their mind. Why do we got a quarterback back here running around? That's not what a quarterback does. Well, Nick knew the game was changing. He had to have a dual threat quarterback. Blake Sims just wasn't the quarterback that was going to take him to the next level. Then he went out and recruited the players that was going to take him to the next level, like Jalen Hurts and Tua. And then he gets in a national championship game and goes, hey, you got us here, but you ain't getting the job done. And he puts in a cold quarterback that's a young quarterback, and they go beat Georgia. Again, I don't think Brent Pry is Nick Saban, but I think if you're getting paid millions of dollars to coach a sport, you should study those people how I study them. And if they can change players, you can. We haven't, go back to what Pete said, we haven't coached them for 3 years. And I'm not saying it's magically going to happen this year, but I hope it magically happens this year.
Well, and that's the craziest part is I don't think we've had the best staff in the world the last 3 years, to say the least. And we were still this close to beating a top 10 team, this close to having an 8-9 win season. If a few things go exactly.
All 6 wins, 10 points or less last year.
Yeah. I mean,
that metric's got to friggin' that improve this season.
It's got to.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hoping when we play South Carolina that it is a close game and that we win. And then you can reverse all of this narrative right off the bat. I mean, that would be the dream scenario. But even if Vandy is that, it's a 3-point game, which it very well could be.
Oh, yeah.
And it's on the foot of John Love, and we win. Like that's the kind of stuff we need to happen to be like, okay, we're moving in the right direction now.
Right.
Yeah. So what are the one close game that he's won at this point was what, the Liberty game, right?
Mhm.
Jesus Christ.
The Jalen Holston legacy game.
Yeah. Jeez, the cupboard was bare. What a I mean, what? And that's no disrespect to Holston. I love you, kid, but like,
man,
damn,
dude, we needed some fortunate things to happen to win that game too. We really did.
Yep.
So we're kind of on it. I'm gonna actually add a little bit to this and get some perspective, because we talked about it at the end of the first segment a little bit with the Board of Visitors stuff and what Witt's trying to put together, needing $200 million to feel like you're competing well in the ACC. But I want to do it this time through the lens of Brent Pry and his tenure here. If Witt can go out there and secure $200 million, do we have the pieces in play where we're still calling Brent Pry the head coach of the Hokies in 3 years?
I want Dan to go first.
Shout out Witt. Shout out Witt, man. It reminded me of a little Trail Sprewell. I can't feed my family on $13 million. I want to say yes, but I don't know, because if he brings in Montgomery, most qualified at the time of hire offensive coordinator Virginia Tech has ever had, and then you go get Sam Cephas, you bring him in completely out of left field. We had no idea like who, like the Snoop whatever, the famous meme. But then you bring this dude in, and then you get to know him, and he's very calm, but he's very intense when he speaks, and he's very confident at having half the hair, half of it should go, like that thing. Like
that is
like
he's like, you know what?
It's bad.
He rocks it, dude, and he doesn't care. And like he's so psychotically obsessed with the intricacies of what the offense is doing and making sure his scheme is complex but yet simple enough that his players don't even have to think about it. They just do it, which is, well, at least is what they've said. The games still have to be played and it has to be executed. But I think with the money we currently have, we should be able to win 8 or 9 a year. And that's still should be a floor for the ACC, in my opinion. But we come from a different era of watching Tech, so we got a different perception of what Virginia Tech football should be.
Yep.
I mean, if you get $200 million a year, you should be top. You should be top tier
Brian,
ACC half perennial playoff team.
Can you recite the end of the question one more time, just to
Yeah, so just kind of if Witt's able to get us there, if the pieces that Pry's brought on from a staff perspective work out, will we still see Brent Pry as the head coach in 3 years?
If they work out, hell yeah.
If they work out, yeah. But the question is, will we still see Brent Pry? Because if it works out, obviously he'll still be here. But if we're 0-2, he gone. If we are 0-2, it is over for Brent Pry, without a doubt. You cannot lose to Rutgers back-to-back years and then Vanderbilt back-to-back years and still be the freaking head coach at Virginia Tech. You cannot do that.
Amen.
If Brent Pry goes 6-6, he's still coaching here. I just want to let y'all know.
Oh yeah, you're correct, because Gene at CMG Leasing says
not if the first 2 games are losses.
If he loses to South Carolina and Vanderbilt, but still wins 6 games, Pete, we're going to be talking about this next year. He's still going to be here.
I don't think so, but that's fine. We can have a difference of opinion on that. I just think that it will get so toxic so fast after 0-2.
You're going to have the big fish.
It will at least equal 2021 post Fuente. We think Fuente's gone, and then all of a sudden Witt's bringing it back. It'll reach those levels.
I want you to think,
and it'll be lame duck. So what's the fucking point?
But here's what's got to happen.
That's
first.
my.
If Witt doesn't get fired, Witt's not firing him.
Nope.
A night game in Lane Stadium against Vanderbilt, and you lose after losing to them the previous year, it's over. It is over.
Steven, I disagree with that. I think the new hires are a last-ditch effort. He messes it up this year, he's gone. And I know that wasn't the question. The question is, you raise the money. Is he still the coach? Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, if those new hires, he was given the chance to fire the coordinators that weren't hacking it or letting them take a demotion to go to Ohio State, whatever. But, yeah, this is it for him. This is the last season. Pete's right. You start the season 0-2, it's wraps. It's done.
There's so many questions that go along with stuff that I have that my mind just wonders about. Does Brent Pry, was he the one who made the hires? They say he made them, but he doesn't make those hires when he comes in as a coach. It was other people that that was on the board that had. I don't think so. I think that's
everything comes from the top down. If Witt let a first-time head coach hire 2 first-time coordinators, which it seems he did, that's on Witt too. But Pry made those hires. There was connections from Penn State with Bowen. There was connections from Vanderbilt with Marv. Those are his hires.
The only thing we don't know is were there other hires that were vetoed for one reason or another.
Right.
We know who was on the Zoom calls, Brian.
Sure.
When those hires were made, we know the Eye of Sauron was on there, and we all know who I'm talking about. We all know who I'm talking about. Yeah,
I'm just saying, man, it's a good old boy network, and it's all about who somebody else knows. And well, let's not interview him because some people didn't get calls and some people did. So I feel like a lot of times these people watch each other's back. Again, I don't want to get into the conspiracy, but that's why I just be thinking I'm like, well, he's got to be gone, and this is happening. If Witt's gone, sure, Pry's gone.
But I love the people getting subtweeted in these conversations. We had 70 getting subtweeted tonight. We got 4 getting subtweeted. We got JB getting subtweeted. I love it.
Man, say their names.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing. I really don't know what this year is going to look like. Obviously, you said if the pieces work out, which was a caveat to the question. Yes, he's still here because everything else he's masterful at as far as from a PR perspective. The shit they sent John Gruden was masterful. That was a hell of a box. Shout out to the marketing team.
Can we afford it?
But what I'm saying is, look, here's the question. You have to pick, I think, what side of it you're on, because if you're on Twitter and you're doing all these tweets hey, we're only going to win 4. If your expectation is 4 or 5 wins and then he wins 6, don't call for him to get fired because he exceeds your expectation. So if your expectation is 9 wins and he only wins 5, then yeah. But if you're on there we're going to win 3 or 4 games and then he wins 6 or 7, you can't call for him to be fired because he exceeded your expectation.
But Dan, that's what they said in the Board of Visitors meeting. Jean at CMG Leasing, she said that we're competitive at 5 or 6 wins. That's what she said. Dan.
She's surprised we're as competitive as we are.
Yeah, she's thrilled that we're competitive.
It's damn, I thought it should be worse.
She also doesn't understand what competitive is.
I want to say this with Curtis. I know you got something to say, but I want to say this. Pete, I know you probably got the most pull on this board right here. I need you to start talking to these people and let them know John Gruden looks like Chucky. You need to send me that stuff because I would put it to better use than Chucky.
Oh my God. He's got a whole freaking closet full of it from 10 different schools.
Yeah, he don't care. He ain't gonna use that. Send that to me and Dan and Pete, and we're gonna be wearing it in the stadium. I want that baseball helmet. How can I get that?
Hey, he told a really good Tots Rail story, so I'll give him that much.
I'll wear that helmet. I'll wear that helmet in Magic City.
I'll wear that helmet to work.
I'll wear that helmet in Magic City.
Give me the gloves.
And he got all 3 helmets.
So the helmet stays on during the lap dance.
4 total helmets, right? Including the baseball helmet.
They hooked him up. They hooked him up. He's never gonna call out your name again. Back like that.
Back to what we were talking about here about the fire. First of all,
my apologies.
Whit Babcock has to go first. No, it's fine. Whit Babcock will have to go first.
It's a messy situation.
Because I want to ask y'all a question. Well, let's fire Pry for this year. Do you want Witt to make a 3rd hire?
No.
No way in hell.
Do you want Witt to make a 3rd hire? Huh?
He doesn't get to. There's no way. You don't
So
get to
he's gonna
fire.
be
So that
going-
means you got to fire Witt by
He's-
mid-October, so you can have a new AD, so you can actually hire a coach. In
That's
the
what
coaching
makes
cycle
it all
that you
very
need.
challenging,
Not
right?
happening.
And when I said Pry's
That's
done,
where
I
you're
didn't
at.
mean like that night. I mean like for all intents and purposes, it's done.
Sure,
But
I
you
get
need
what
to
It'll be
wait.
the next year, though.
Yeah,
It'll be
yeah.
2026.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. But like, here, let me back up.
Hold on. So
because
Pete, no,
I don't.
hold on, stop. So you're saying you're willing to get Witt fired in January and try to make a February head coach hire?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's what
I'm
I'm- that's
saying
what I'm
if
asking.
it's as bad, and this is an if, because personally, I don't think we're going 0-2. I want to make that clear. This is all an if. If we are 0-2 and then it spirals into a bad season, you cannot wait to make those changes. You cannot wait.
As we love to do, by the way. And like Pete, we talked about this on Two Deep when you and Sam had me on. We are traditionally we are not that school.
No.
We're making mid-season changes. We're just not that school. But if that happens, we have to be. You have no choice. And y'all, that BOV meeting, what that told me, and this is disrespect to no one, Witt knows in one way or another he's not going to be the AD at Virginia Tech for much longer.
Nope.
Whether it's by his own doing, he resigns, whatever, or he knows, like, or I get fired first.
Mhm.
Because everything he knows, my job rides starting next weekend against South Carolina at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. My job starts. I'm basically on a 4-month sand dive.
Imagine the stress sitting in that stadium if you're Whit Babcock. Like, I mean, and the stress when he's watching us lose to Vanderbilt last year.
My
Like,
gosh. I can't even imagine. I wouldn't sleep at night.
Hey, Joe Rogers gave him a face full in Norfolk when that ODU loss happened. So, I mean,
reportedly from him.
That's the word on the street.
Yeah,
I was there for that. I had a front row ticket to that.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I saw that happen.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
and so like under that situation, that means that you're probably, if you go 0-2 and you actually have the stones to make the move, that means you're probably firing Witt sometime in October, and you're having to get a new AD in place at the latest before the Commonwealth Cup.
It's not good.
No.
It's not good.
Unfortunately, Georgia Tech just hired him. So his name is Ryan Alpert. He would have been great from Tennessee.
All right, give me 6 more names then, Dan.
I can't do it, but
let's
I don't know, but what I'm saying is like
He said, "Give me 6 more."
You can't say, "Well, the guy that just got hired."
I
So,
was making. I was being a bitch.
Well, listen,
but
we are all hoping.
Don't do that.
As much as it sucks, as much as we may not like what Witt has done the last couple of years, we are all hoping that it doesn't have to come to that.
Exactly.
We are hoping that we
hoping
beat
that.
South Carolina, we beat Vandy, and we're 2-0.
Right.
And we're not even thinking about Whit Babcock. We're thinking about we're a 2-0 football team. Like that.
And we just
That's the dream.
So we're at this point then. So I mean, go ahead, Dan. I'll let you finish.
As far as the whole situation goes, I think it started with Jim Weaver. It started to fall behind there, and then Witt just didn't do enough with what he could control. He couldn't control the ACC commissioner making the regional sports network deals and that falling through. And then we fallen massively behind in money, but he didn't do enough to control what he could control.
Like Nike
and
contract?
he went in front of this board knowing that he was about to look like shit and he was going to have to eat a lot of shit sandwiches to beg for money. I thought like he did a good job conveying how bad it is. Because when you go in asking for money, you're not like, I need like 30 million, but if you don't want to do it, that's cool. Like it wasn't like you got to really like sell the fact that, the shit's dire straits. And I think he did that. So hopefully they cough it up, but he did pull the Magic Johnson, like, I don't know, I'm not going to be here type thing. But
I think the thing that pissed me off the most was like the thing that we, and I say we collectively, like, and that's the fan base, but also the athletic department needed to be better at, regardless of where we're at overall, like we shouldn't be in the bottom of public institutions in the ACC for athletic budget.
At all.
Not with our enrollment. No.
Not at all.
I
think Tim Sands finally realized, hey, I got to do some shit here. So
he knows his days are numbered, man, because the BOP will get him out of there.
There's no better motivator than embarrassment, and that dude's embarrassing.
They all got embarrassed yesterday, and it's kind of crazy because everyone had those, whether it was David Teal or Andy Bitter, putting out the quotes, and then some of those quotes don't look very good, and whether they were taken out of context or not, they don't look very good, and those people of that ilk don't like to be embarrassed, and they kind of got embarrassed. And
they said it costs money to win and it costs money to lose.
Yep.
Well,
that was the best point conveyed in the whole thing. Is that if you're going to lose money on this thing regardless, it's better to lose money and have a winning product.
Amen.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is like the measures that we've taken over the years to save money, meaning playing at ODU, playing at Marshall, those have cost us money on the back end for sure. Because when you go to ODU, you put your head in the lion's mouth, you lose twice, you are damaging the brand. You are killing casual fan interest. You are killing merchandise sales, ticket sales. It has cost us more money with all the dumb shit. Skimping on Fuente's salary pool. I don't even like Justin Fuente as a coach, but we skimped on his salary pool. We lose to Liberty. We lose to all these teams. It costs us money on the back end because then we got to fire him. We're paying his buyout, the whole 9 yards.
I was pretty dead after that Marshall game. I think the Marshall game wasn't about money, and it was more about they came and bailed our ass out and got us bowl eligible, so we had to go play a game there. I think that's how that went. But still, it was shitty. We should have beat their ass.
A little brother-in-law deal there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, guys. So what we're going to do now, we've talked a lot here, but we got to get some record predictions of what you guys think, how you think the season's going to wrap up, and maybe even add a little blurb there to your explanation. And Pete, I'll start with you since you said you don't think we're going to fall flat on our face out the gate.
I don't. And we could lose to South Carolina without a doubt. We could lose to Vandy, but I think we're getting one of those games, if not both. We're going to get one.
Ooh.
And I think the final record will be 8-4 because even if we were to go 2-0 and we look like world beaters, well, there was a time in life when we beat Ohio State and then lost to ECU the next week. This is something that Virginia Tech does. We will have stupid losses. And so even if we turn it up a notch and we win some close games, 8-4 seems like the record. I think we're probably 3-1 in the non-con. And then, we'll see what happens. But like 5-3, 3-1, that's 8-4. That's what I'm going with.
Dan, let it ride.
So a couple weeks ago, man, I wasn't really like trying to do this record prediction shit. And then like recently, the spirit of college football has retaken my soul, and I'm juiced. I'm ready. I watched it. Yeah, I watched the Josh Pate episode of Bussin' with the Boys. I'm ready. Like I watched that SEC stuff on Netflix, and I think it really depends on how South Carolina and Vandy go. I do think we get one of those. I'm not going to say we get both, but it is kind of weird how the script is flipped this year, where you have the media darling coming in to play the team with the hot seat coach who brought in brand new coordinators and like 30 transfers. And now Diego Pavia is also the one with expectation. And I hope we beat that dude's ass in Lane Stadium for that. I don't hate him. I just don't want him to beat us. So I'm thinking I teeter between, if we win one of those, I'm saying 8 is possible, but 7-5 seems to be the first thing that pops in my head. Without a bowl, 7-5 without a bowl.
Guys, on January 27th of this year, after the season was over, it's my pinned tweet on my profile. I said we were going to win 5 games in 2025, and guess what? I got to stand on that. I said we're going to win 5 games, and I really think that's the case. I don't know. I don't know, man. After last year, you're not going to have me out here predicting a winning record. This is the show me something season. You want me to give you hype? Win a fucking football game. How about that? Like I'm done with all this semantics and all this like hunky dory smoke and mirror shit. No, show me something. Make me a fan again. Like I'm always gonna watch the Virginia.
Win you back.
Grayson said you got to earn it.
Yeah, come get it.
They do.
I straight up, and y'all all deep down, you feel that way a little bit. See, I'm getting fired up, man, because now I know college football. Now I know that my Saturdays and one Sunday and one Friday are going to be determined by 18 to 22-year-olds. And isn't that just a beautiful thing?
It's the only way to live.
It's the only way to live.
It's the only way to work through fall.
And so, guys,
is it fall if you're not pinning all of your well-being on 18 to 22
college?
year olds?
Exactly.
I said we were going to lose the first two games in my tweet. As the season approaches, I'd like to think we get one. I don't think it's going to be South Carolina. I had this thought in the car driving home from work the other day. I'm like, I have the worst feeling that loss or that game will end in a loss, and it will be soul crushing. Like I could see it being like Boise State in 2010. I don't know, dude. I have that feeling. And then after that, we'll go and play Vandy probably very competitively. You would hope, right? But I say 5 wins. Good
Grayson,
luck.
if we go 2-0, you gonna start back podcasting?
If we go 0-2, will I start?
No, 2-0.
No, if we go 2-0, if we
mean,
beat South Carolina and Vandy, you gonna start back podcasting?
Never say never. I love joining. It's been fun just kind of being independent. Going on with Dan is awesome. Going on with Pete and Sam is the best.
Yeah.
I've had a blast. You guys are fantastic. I've also said it's there's a lot of them, y'all, and I like to give y'all shine, and I'll stay behind the keyboard and be a little shit from there. Yeah.
Ask for better. Well, fellas, it has been a wonderful evening. 2:47. I thought we'd be under 2, but as usual, when we bring 6 of the best content guys in Hokie Nation together, y'all bring the heat, y'all bring the info, you bring your thoughts, you bring your feelings, and that's why I love it. But with all that being said, that does wrap up the panel preview episode of the Boundary Corner podcast, brought to you by Counts Family Pharmacy in Blocksburg, brought to you by Moments on the Maury in Lexington. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Jonathan Talley.
Shelton already left because he had to get to bed. We appreciate Danny Nokes. We appreciate Mike McDaniel. Hadn't seen Mike. Text with Mike all the time, talk about his kid. Appreciate it, David Cunningham. Shout out. I texted him a few minutes ago. Pete, Dan, Grayson, you guys are the best for being here. We ask everybody, visit boundarycornerbt.com to listen to all of our episodes. Check the banger out last week with Dwight, too, because that was a 3-hour marathon, and he brought the heat. Follow us everywhere. Follow these guys. Everybody that came on here tonight, follow them on Twitter. Listen to their podcasts. Read David's writing. Read the stuff Mike writes. It is good stuff out there. And as always, our buddy down in the Roanoke Valley, Mr. Jason Long, he plays us in. He plays us out every week. Man got back to work this week teaching kids. And next week, his wife hooked us up with something very impressive. So look forward to that episode. We appreciate y'all all out there listening. And as always, let's go.
Hokie!